It was no ordinary day in the city of Miami because yesterday Marlins Park had its coming out party. The Yankees, the Marlins, and the results survey says thumbs up. Yeah, it was one big baseball party, and that's just the start. Tonight, it's Marlins-Yankees Part 2, the first night game, and you have a front row seat. It's a pleasant evening in downtown Miami. Spring training ends tonight for the Miami Marlins. Game 2, and guess what? The roof is opening as we speak. The Yankees and Marlins finishing off a 2-game exhibition series. And, of course, the Marlins open for real Wednesday against the Cardinals. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Yesterday was a historic day in Miami. And the roles are kind of reversed, Tommy, because yesterday it was hot. They closed the roof and everybody was comfortable. Tonight, a little different feel out there.
Well, right now, Rich, everybody's trying to get used to this ballpark to see how it plays with the roof open, with the roof closed. We saw the roof closed during batting practice. All of a sudden, because it's such a beautiful night here in Miami, the roof has been opened. We'll get a chance to see it tonight and how it plays with it open.
Now, we've seen only one game in this ballpark. What did we learn in just one game?
Well, it was interesting. Early on, we saw Gabby Sanchez, who did not homer to the opposite field last year. He hit one to the opposite field into the Yankee bullpen. Remember, he hit 19 last year. This guy, Nick Swisher, went downtown 23 times last year for the Yankees. No problem here. Little bit of a problem for Austin Kearns trying to get used to the warning track, used to this double off the bat of Raul Ibanez. But these are things that players will have to deal with. The warning track is a little bit larger than in a lot of other ballparks. It's 3 steps instead of 2 steps. The outfielders will have to get used to that. The outfield also has a good cut. It doesn't have that cross cut, so outfielders can charge the ball and not have to worry about the ball snaking.
We're also going to have to get used to watching Carlos Zambrano pitch. It's a different look tonight. And I'm not talking about the uniform combination, just the fact that Zambrano is on the mound and in the rotation for the Marlins is big. Hiroki Kuroda gets the start for the Yankees.
Hiroki Kuroda is the number 2 starter for the Yankees this year. He'll follow CC Sabathia. Carlos Zambrano trying to reestablish himself, I think, as a major league pitcher. His spring ERA, it's over 8. Don't worry too much about that. Look for a good night tonight from Carlos.
Look for a beautiful night here in downtown Miami. When we get back, Craig Minervini will visit with Austin Kearns. Big night for him. I mean, he's from Lexington, Kentucky. Marlins and Yankees coming up. Down below to Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much, and good evening again, everybody. Roof open, beautiful night for baseball here as the Marlins get set in just a couple of days for their opener of the 2012 season. Austin Kearns came to town here, playing on 4 teams over a 10-year big league career, but when he went to Jupiter, he did not have a job, but thanks to a .378 average during spring training, he made the club, and I talked with him a few moments ago. Austin, first of all, congratulations on making the team. That's never a fun thing to have to play to make a club, but you certainly did it best you possibly could.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that you know, a lot of guys go through it where you got to go in and make a team. So, you know, just relax and trust in what you do and see what happens.
What was your mental approach as you went through it? The last thing you want to do, especially you've got a resume, a veteran, you've played in the league quite a bit. You don't want to put any pressure on yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty relaxed and, you know, tried not to, get caught up in, what decisions are going to be made. You know, can just control what you do out on the field, and so do that and see what happens.
What attracted you, Austin, to the Marlins situation?
Well, I definitely think, it was the best opportunity to be on a team that's going to win. So, I think it's a pretty exciting time for the city and the organization. So it's a talented team.
Yeah, Austin, the park is pretty impressive. It plays differently, closed and open. How do you like it so far?
Oh, I think it's awesome, man. It's a beautiful place, and it does carry more when it's open. But I think it's a pretty cool place.
You had a baby boy only a few weeks ago, and boy, it couldn't be better timing for the Marlins to start off their road season in Cincinnati, close to home in Kentucky.
Yeah, that was fortunate for that. So, he's doing all right. He's only about almost 2 weeks old, so be good to be able to get home and see him and our other two boys. So be a good time.
NCAA tournament tonight. Are you rooting for the Wildcats? Did you TiVo the game, or are you just going to avoid the results, or just catch the highlights?
I'll be getting out of here as fast as I can after the game to go watch it. So,
How big a fan?
I'm a big fan, but I mean, I don't live and die with it. I'm not it's not going to ruin my day. I really hope they win, but so we'll see what happens. I hope they win.
Thanks for your time. The Kentucky Wildcats in the NCAA championship game tonight against Kansas. But first, the business right here at Marlins Park. It's the Yankees and the Marlins, the first ever Major League game for the Fish. With the roof open here, it all starts counting on Wednesday night. Back for the first pitch. Rich and Tommy getting set to call it for you next from Marlins Park.
Florida, brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer today for great deals on the amazing lineup of Toyota vehicles. Toyota, moving forward. Fans arriving right now, Marlins Park. The soft opening gets a little harder now. 30,000 will be allowed in the ballpark for this one. And they will see the A team for both the Yankees and the Miami Marlins. For the Yankees, Derek Jeter, the captain, at shortstop. Curtis Granderson's going to DH in this one. Robinson Cano at second base. Alex Rodriguez was thrilled yesterday that in his hometown they have a brand new ballpark. He brought his daughters and a lot of friends for a private tour. Mark Teixeira is at first base. Nick Swisher in right. Raul Ibanez, Miami product, was thrilled as well to step into this place yesterday. Russell Martin behind the plate, and Brett Gardner is in center field. Now, you saw the roof opening. Out in left field, the glass panels are opening, and one of the great features, and the fans have certainly commented on this in this ballpark, is the view of the downtown skyline in Miami. No other retractable roof ballpark in baseball has a view like this, a view of the downtown skyline.
Yeah, and as we speak, Rich, you can see the panels sliding open. The one thing that we were able to see in one of the college games, I believe it was the night the ball club played the University of Miami, during batting practice, they had the panels and they had the roof open, but it was much windier. It was a very windy night. And on that particular night, because of the way the gusts came into the ballpark, the ball was flying out of here. So I think the bottom line is that the organization, the ball players, everybody, they want to find out and see how this will play with the panels open, with the roof open, sometimes with the panels closed and with the roof open. So Carlos Zambrano right now gets ready to work. We talked about Zambrano this spring. Not good numbers, 0-2. And I think the key for him is he's walked a few too many. His last time out in 4 innings against the Astros, he walked 5 in those 4 innings. But here's a guy who's been an all-star 3 times. He has trimmed down. I think just looking at C, as his teammates like to call him, you can see he's in great shape. And I think he really wants to reestablish himself and have a terrific year. Here's the defense tonight for the Miami Marlins with Logan Morrison, Emilio Bonifacio, and Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. Hanley and Jose, the guys who create a lot of excitement on the infield. On the left side, Omar Infante, Gabby Sanchez on the right side, and John Buck again behind the plate.
Ozzie Guillen, of course, a guy that lives in Miami. Guillen, his 9th year as a manager, 8 nice years, and a world championship as the skipper of the White Sox. The Marlins going with the alternate red-orange caps along with the black jerseys, different uniform combinations. Ozzie ready to go. I think everybody's ready for spring training to get over, and this is the last spring training game.
You love to see some togetherness. You could call that the new Marlins scrum as they get ready to take the field. I like to see that.
Andy Ramirez has had a very nice spring at third base, offensively and defensively. He's made the adjustment quite well. You talked about Zambrano. He's made the rotation. He has slimmed down, and he feels like he's got something to prove after a year last year in which he struggled. Zambrano, in 11 years with the Cubs, his whole body of work, a 3.60 ERA, 125 wins and just 81 losses. Last year, 9-7, an ERA of close to 5. Here is Jeter, who opened yesterday with a line drive double down the right field line, and Zambrano splits the plate. Jeter's spring training numbers.
Yeah, Zambrano threw 80 pitches in that last outing.
Reyes behind the bag.
He would like to probably extend that a little bit and throw a lot of more of those pitches in the strike zone.
Marlin fans are, I think, also getting used to watching Jose Reyes go to his left and his right. A lot of range. Marlin fans know that from watching his exploits with the Mets, but just seeing it in a Marlin uniform is a real difference. Hanley Ramirez, while a nice shortstop, certainly not the caliber of Jose Reyes defensively.
And I think also, Rich, we're going to see a better infield tonight. The infield, because of the rain that found some of the dirt out there, was a little soft last night, but in much better shape tonight.
Curtis Granderson up. Granderson DHing in this ball game. You know, the Yankees, as we talked about yesterday, had such a big offensive year last year. The fastball by Zambrano is up and in. And it really wasn't Alex Rodriguez or Derek Jeter that was driving the bus. Curtis Granderson and Robinson Cano had the big years offensively. Mark Teixeira drove in 111 runs. But Granderson and Cano really made the Yankee offensive engine run last year.
Yeah, and he's just continued where he left off. He's hitting near 380 this spring.
Tried to catch the inside part with that fastball, and Granderson is aboard. Granderson was 4th in the MVP voting in the American League last year. Zambrano, a 3-time All-Star, a 3-time Silver Slugger as well.
I think one of the areas, Rich, with the Yankees that you forget about, we talked about all their power and their patience at the plate. They were 4th in the major leagues in stolen bases. And Cano can run. Granderson had 25 steals last year.
Cano takes a strike. Cano, in the last couple of years, has really blossomed, and he gives a lot of that credit to Kevin Long, the hitting coach for the Yankees. This is the 8th year with the Yankees for Cano. We talked about his numbers, and one of the rare guys that has hit better in the big leagues than he did in the minor leagues. Pulls that one wide of first.
There are always certain columns in the stats that I like to look at, and one of the things that popped out with Cano, his last 5 years, he's played 159 games or more each of those last 5 years, so he's been durable as well.
Won a Gold Glove a couple of seasons ago. Won the Home Run Derby last year. Zambrano working an 0-2 count on Cano. Granderson worked a walk. He's at first. And Zambrano steps off. Laz Diaz is the umpire behind home plate. We got a veteran crew out here with Ed Rapuano, Ed Hickox, and Angel Hernandez out on the bases. And Zambrano misses away. Extra base hits. Only Jacoby Ellsbury had more in the major leagues last year. Cano had 46 doubles. Marlins will see the Red Sox 6 times, a home and home with the Red Sox in interleague play this year. A real oddity in the schedule.
So not only a home and home against the Rays, which feature maybe the best starting rotation in that American League East, but also home and home against the Red Sox.
Ozzie Guillen very familiar, obviously, with both those teams. 2-2, 1 out. If you just joined us, the roof was closed for batting practice, and it has been open about 15 minutes. They started to open it about 10 minutes before first pitch. They've opened the panels in left field as well. The Budweiser bow tie bar out there is becoming a popular spot in the dirt, and Zambrano goes to 3-2. The year that he had last year, you see the career numbers. The year last year with a 4.82 ERA was his first full season in the big leagues where his earned run average was over 4.
He'll mainly feature that sinking fastball, sliders. Throws a slider, different angles, and uses kind of a splitter-like changeup.
Granderson running. Cano swings and misses. Buck trying to throw, stumbles, and I think they're going to call interference on the hitter, and that's going to be a strike him out. Not even have to throw him out. Double play. As Diaz made the call, Joe Girardi is out to argue. But Laz Diaz was pretty emphatic. He called it early. Girardi right now is going nose to nose. Both these guys trying to get in mid-season form here at the end of spring training. So batter's interference. The runner is out. It's a double play. And Hiroki Kuroda is going to head out to the mound.
And eventually, we will get the bottom half of the first inning.
Here's a look.
He crosses right in front of John Buck. Now, I don't think John Buck would have thrown out Granderson because Granderson got a great jump.
We'll take a timeout. We'll take a look at that play from a few other angles when we get back as well. Scoreless in Miami. Their contact between John Buck and Robinson Cano.
Yeah, and as you watch John Buck, his foot and his knee makes contact with that back foot that comes across. There it is right there, which impedes his throw to second base. I thought it was a good call. Let me just put it this way. When Joe Girardi was catching, he would want that same call.
And you know what? It's the last game of spring training, so let's move on. Let's take a look at the lineups for the Miami Marlins, who are getting ready to face Hiroki Kuroda. The Marlins trot out this lineup. We even have new lineup music on the show. Jose Reyes is at short. Emilio Bonifacio is in center field. Hanley Ramirez at third. Giancarlo Stanton in right. He had 2 RBIs yesterday. Logan Morrison gets the start in left. He DH'd yesterday. Gabby Sanchez a homer yesterday. Greg Dobbs gets the start as the DH. Omar Infante at second. And John Buck hits ninth.
And they'll face the 37-year-old out of Osaka, Japan, Hiroki Kuroda, who will work Game 2 for the Yankees against the Rays when they open their season in Tampa.
Kuroda, you see his spring training numbers. He had 4 solid years with the Dodgers in terms of earned run average and other statistics. The win-loss record under 500. As Reyes slaps a slow one down the left field line around first, headed for second, and that would be a double.
And that would be exciting. Slapped the appropriate term used in that swing of Jose Reyes. I don't think he practiced this in the batting cages up at Roger Dean Stadium, but very effective. There's the speed. And there's the punctuation.
I think if there's any consensus among the Marlins as a team, it is that Reyes and the guy at the plate, Emilio Bonifacio, are going to have a lot of triples and, in all likelihood, an inside the park home run before this season is done in this ballpark because of the dimensions and the quirkiness of that wall out in center field. Bonifacio has not had the best of spring trainings. You can see the wall 418 to straightaway center. This is that spot that Eduardo Perez told us about, Tommy, that he's really tried to preach to Bonifacio, who's not really done much of this in his career, and that is don't worry about hitting second. Don't try to turn yourself into a number 2 hitter. Just do what you do well. And last year it was get on base. He fouls it back to the screen.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing, Rich, anytime you see Bonifacio hit the ball in the air, it's usually not a good thing, a lazy fly ball. You want to see him keep the ball line drive on the ground and take advantage of that tremendous speed, which is something he did very well last year.
Reyes hits second, has opened with a double. Crowd still arriving, 30,000 tonight. And then, of course, on Wednesday, the grand opening, 36,000 seats and 1,000 standing room for the Marlins and the world champion St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, the Cardinals will feature right-hander Kyle Loesch. Their initial plan was to have Chris Carpenter, but Carpenter had some neck issues in the spring, won't be ready, and they want Wainwright, who's coming off Tommy John surgery, to pitch in their home opener.
That is a national ESPN telecast. Our opener will be in Cincinnati the next day at 4 o'clock. Bonifacio takes up and in, and it counts 2-2.
You talked about Kuroda last year. There's that matchup that we'll have Thursday.
Mark Burley, Johnny Cueto.
Great American Ballpark, Cincinnati.
See what he gets. 2-2 from Kuroda. Off speed, and he pulls it to the right side. And he may not have been trying, but Bonifacio acting like a perfect #2 hitter. He moves Reyes up. Here comes Hanley, and here comes the Yankees defensively.
Yeah, we'll check in on the New York defense with Raul Ibanez, who DH'd last night or yesterday afternoon. He's in left. Gardner and Swisher filling out the outfield. A-Rod, Derek Jeter, Cano, and Teixeira, all-stars around that infield. Russell Martin, an all-star in his own right, handling. So what we have here, we have a former Dodger battery. Russell Martin, Hiroki Kuroda.
That's right. They were together for 3 of Kuroda's 4 seasons.
Yeah, you mentioned the ERA. Kuroda's ERA last year was 3.07. You'd look at that and you'd say, hey, I'll take that.
Hey, in his 4 years as a Dodger, his ERA was 3.45, but his one-loss record was 41-46.
Yeah, he was 13-16 last year.
Dodgers did not re-sign him. They felt he would be too expensive for their taste, and Hanley lines one into left field. That's a base hit. Reyes will score, and the Marlins are on the board first.
It's a confident feeling, I guess is the best way to describe it. When you're a hitter and you come to the plate with less than 2 out and a man at third, whether the infield's in or back, it doesn't matter. You just have a good feeling. You also have a good feeling when you get a hanger, the way Hanley got that hanging pitch, hanging breaking ball from Kuroda.
So Hanley is at first, and here's Giancarlo Stanton. Hanley running on the first pitch. Stanton hits a rocket on the ground. The throw there is not in time, and Stanton is out at first. Hanley is safe at second. Stanton hit 2 balls like that, only up the middle and into center field for RBI hits yesterday, and it's good to see that he's running well.
Yeah, 2 things. Good to see Hanley on the move. If Hanley is not moving, that's a sure double play. Jeter still thought he had the double play, but Hanley just beat the throw.
Logan Morrison now with 2 outs. Gabby Sanchez on deck. Kuroda, who is a veteran in Japan, is actually in his first year of the arbitration window, and the Yankees signed him for $10 million.
Yeah, we'll actually see their #3 starter come into the game after Kuroda, Phil Hughes.
See, I think if there were arbitration back in the 60s and 70s, the one-loss record would have a lot more weight than it does now. Now you've got all the great metrics and whip and ERA, and so a guy like Kuroda can say, hey, look at all the starts I've made, and look at how well I've pitched. It wasn't my fault that the Dodgers couldn't score any runs.
Back in the 60s and 70s, they just say, hey, you were 13-16.
So the Yankees have him for $10 million this year, and he's got a few more years of arbitration left, but he is 37. Morrison takes up. Morrison talking yesterday after the ballgame about his knee and how it is still a bit sore and he's not 100%, but that yesterday while running he was just cautious not to re-injure it.
Which is kind of what we surmised at the time.
Checks his swing at a ball in the dirt. And it's 2-2.
How beautiful is this right now?
It's incredible. And now, from our vantage point, if you look through, you can see it from this shot. Look at the sun leaning against the Miami skyline. The panels are open in left field. The roof is open. And it is an extremely comfortable night. Not a lot of wind coming into the park, which was different when the Marlins had that the college game, and when there was a high school game in this facility to test it out. Teixeira picks it up, steps on the bag. Morrison is out at first base, but the Marlins are on the board thanks to Hanley Ramirez. Got the red hair and a 1-0 lead. Is presented by H.H. Gray. Marlin fans, get your tickets now for the first ever Marlins Saturday Spectacular on the 14th. The Marlins take on the Astros at 7:10. The party starts on the West Plaza at 5 o'clock. Music, entertainment, autograph sessions. Then stay in your seats after the game for a fireworks spectacular. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com. The Marlins gift store yesterday was a very, very busy place. Caps, T-shirts, jerseys, all the different color combinations are available, and they were flying out of the place.
And we're seeing a different color combination on the players tonight, and it's great to see the young fans, the older fans, a lot of Miami Marlins gear going out.
Zambrano now facing Alex Rodriguez. Rodriguez was quoted heavily in all the South Florida papers. Of course, he grew up a couple miles south of here. High school phenom. Drafted first overall by the Seattle Mariners. He said he used to have to take 2 or 3 buses to get to the Orange Bowl, where he would try to sneak in to watch either a Hurricanes game or a Dolphins game. Fastball, Zambrano finishes him off. Second strikeout for Carlos Zambrano.
Yeah, this is just a good live fastball up in the zone. He blows it by Alex Rodriguez, who also said he used to enjoy bartering with the different houses. Okay, gotta park my car here. It maybe would start at $10. If he could get him down to 4 or 5, he felt pretty good.
Here's Mark Teixeira, and Teixeira takes a strike. Teixeira to be followed by Nick Swisher. Zambrano drops that one in there for a strike, and it's 0-2. Speaking of parking, the reviews from yesterday, a lot of people found a lot of parking. There were still some people that had trouble when they got into the area finding spots. Here's the 0-2. And again, we encourage you to go to marlins.com/parking. There are great maps that have not only the ballpark and the 4 garages and the 5,700 spots that are close and right on the stadium. The ball's down low. He did not swing. But it also has mapped out the parking areas of the different businesses that have parking and are offering them, some for as little as $10 a spot. And those places also have shuttles that run to the ballpark. All of those are within a mile, mile and a half of the ballpark.
And Rich, I would say that the best advice, especially for fans who were used to going to Pro Player Stadium to a game there where there wasn't a parking issue and there weren't crowds, the best advice, just leave a little earlier than you normally would.
Yeah, and the one thing for us, our first couple times down here, it took us a while to figure out where we were going, which streets to take, which exit do you take off the Dolphin Expressway, or do you take the exit off of 95? Which surface streets get you here? Teixeira takes up as Zambrano misses high.
Hey, we were talking about the different uniform combinations. Yeah, just in case you weren't with us for our afternoon game yesterday, here's a little different look. You have Jose Reyes on the left. That was yesterday with the red-orange top, and now the black jersey with the colorful helmet. So a little different look in this one tonight.
And the mannequin was all dressed up in the Marlins clubhouse. There's a mannequin with the color combinations for the uniforms. Lined into right, Nick Swisher, who homered yesterday, jumps on that pitch, and he looks like he's ready to go. The Yankees have a game scheduled against the Mets up in Port St. Lucie. Not a lot of regulars are headed up to Port St. Lucie. Most of them are headed back across the state, where the Yankees will open against the Rays on Friday.
Yeah, the main guy in that trip up to Port St. Lucie will be Ivan Nova, starting pitcher.
He was the main guy last year. He was 16-4 last year. Zambrano misses up and in. Raul Ibanez trying to recapture the magic that he had in his first couple of seasons in Philadelphia. Last year he fell off a bit in 144 games with a .289 on base percentage. Hit .245. He did have 31 doubles and 20 home runs. But he's had a terrific career after being absolutely buried in Seattle's minor league system, and with a veteran club in Seattle, languished in the minor leagues for many years.
And when you look at his overall 3 years with the Phillies, he averaged 23 home runs, 87 RBIs, hit the 270s. They may have expected a little bit more, but overall, pretty fair. And overall, a great guy, Raul Ibanez.
Sunset High School, Dade Community College. At the time in Seattle, Lou Piniella was the skipper. He had a very talented team, a team that was headed to the postseason virtually every year. And Ibanez actually had to go to Kansas City to play regularly, and he had 3 very good years in Kansas City, then went back to Seattle. By then, the path had been cleared, and he continued to do what he did in Kansas City, and that is hit the ball in the gap, drive in runs.
And even having those good years, it took him until 2009, his first year as a Philly, to make his first All-Star team.
That was, he had such a great start to 2009 as well. Counts full, 3-2, 1 out. Ibanez bangs one to left and hits it deep. Back goes Morrison, reaching, makes the catch, runs into the fence, and 2 Yankees retreat. Teixeira to second, Swisher to first, and wouldn't you know, Logan Morrison has run into his first fence. His first game in left field at Marlins Park. In the second inning, Morrison has already run into something.
Well, we talked about this warning track. It's a little wider than most, so it's 3 steps instead of 2, 2.5. He zeroes in, looks at that mesh fence. There's a little padding there. The rest of it is mesh. The fans loved it. Lomo played it well and put it away.
Nicely done, and it's good to see that he's able to get back, make the play with that sore knee.
I love those fans out there. I guarantee they love those seats too.
Well, that's the Clevelander spot, and I have to amend something I said yesterday, Tommy, when talking about the Clevelander. I said, hey, it's going to be a hot night spot. The pool's out there. Might not be a bad place for the family. Tommy, 21 and older allowed in the Clevelander.
Well, you and I got a first-hand look, and I can understand why.
Good point. Here's Russell Martin. Let's move on. Zambrano before we get in trouble, and it's not even the regular season. Russell Martin trying to follow up last year where he caught a bunch for the Yankees. He saw his career in Los Angeles kind of slide in his final 2 seasons. After becoming an all-star 3 times, actually 2 times with the Dodgers. He was an all-star last year with the Yankees. He was an Iron Man. Boy, the Dodgers, when he broke in, the Dodgers had him behind the plate 145 times a season.
He pretty much revitalized his career last year.
Ground ball, Infante swallows it up, put the first, and Zambrano has 2 scoreless innings in the books. Logan Morrison has had his first adventure with the wall in left. And the Marlins, the Miami Marlins, lead the Yankees 1-0. Skyline outside of Marlins Park. Out there, the Bowtie Budweiser Bar. Let's find Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich and Tommy, I'll tell you, one of my favorite spots already to watch. You get a nice cool beverage. You see down below, these seats are going to be available for sale, I think in the neighborhood of $35, but you'll have to check. Seats down there. These seats here are all first come, first serve. So if you come even during the game, you can get a drink over here and then sit down if you can grab a seat. There's about close to 50 seats here to watch the game. Among those guys coming out, the boys from Miami, Elvis here and his buddy John. Now, normally we wouldn't interview a Yankee fan on this day, but he's just back from Afghanistan, and so we want to give you homage. Way to go for the U.S. Army. You're a Miami guy?
Yes, I am from Miami. Born and raised in New York, though, but I live in Miami now.
Now, you root for the Marlins except when they play the Yankees, right?
Exactly. I root for the Marlins except when the Yankees are down here.
Well, thanks for your service there, John. Their buddy Elvis set it all up. What do you think about the stadium?
Beautiful stadium. This is incredible.
Park, I should say.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium. Incredible. Anywhere you're at in the stadium, you can see the ball field perfectly. It's gorgeous, man. For a baseball fan, this is incredible.
All right, how would you describe the view we're getting now from this location, which is real nice, especially tonight with the panels open and a nice breeze up here?
Yeah, it must be like in the 70s. Right now we're in left center field. They just hit a ball to Lomo, and we saw the ball clear as day coming right at us.
You're pumped up for the season. You guys all are.
I can't wait. I got my season tickets early because I know everybody's going to want to see.
You know, that's great to hear, and I think Rich and Tommy, we felt that yesterday. Let's go back to you.
Center, and Gardner is all the way back to the warning track. Gabby Sanchez, who drove one out of here to right field yesterday, just stretched that one to the track in straight off center field.
Gardner with terrific speed can cover a lot of ground, and I think hitters will find that's a tough area. There's a lot of room, spacious in center field, and you're going to have to really put a charge into one to hit it out in that area.
And the wall out there is in its highest point. As you see, it rolls up to the home run sculpture.
Yeah, right in there.
You know,
for the most part, it's 12 feet high, but a little higher in that area.
Marlins happy to see this guy in the box and healthy. Greg Dobbs. Dobbs, a hamstring injury in the spring. He was so good off the bench last year. Talk about Russell Martin reviving his career as a Yankee. Dobbs certainly did that as a Marlin. Dobbs pulls that one into the seats.
Well, how many times did we see Greg Dobbs, who last year, because of his playing time, had more at-bats than he ever had in his career, but sprayed line drives all over the place in the left center, right center, came up with big hit after big hit.
Counts 0-2. So a chance in this one to get Dobbs 3, maybe 4 at-bats before Wednesday night's opener against the Cardinals.
And he needs those. He has just 9 in regular games. He had some at-bats in some games on the backfield, some minor league games, some inter-squad games. But he told us a couple of weeks ago he'd be ready.
Little tapper. Martin tries to smother it. He does get it before it rolls foul. And that's the athleticism of Russell Martin. That's a terrific play. And there's 2 outs. FoxSportsFlorida.com is your home for complete coverage of Florida sport teams. Find the latest scores, in-depth player and team analysis, featured videos, schedules, and much more surrounding the Florida teams that you love most. FoxSportsFlorida.com. Log on now. This is if you are a sports fan in South Florida, this is quite a time with the Heat. The Panthers on the verge of getting in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And of course, a brand new ballpark right in downtown. Infante digs in. And Kuroda breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-1.
Yeah, you have the Heat playing games tomorrow night and Wednesday night. It'll be a lot of activity in this area Wednesday night.
Breaking ball misses into Infante. Omar Infante, a solid spring and really building off the second half that he had with the Marlins last year. The broken finger derailed what was an incredible run. He had hit .411 to start the second half before he was hit by a pitch and broke his finger in August. That fly ball is going to find the seats. One thing we've learned pretty quickly is that there isn't much foul territory and not much stays fair. And while the pitchers are going to get the benefit of the spacious outfield dimensions, they're not going to get the benefit of a lot of foul pop-ups.
Come on, you can't give the pitchers everything.
Well, come to think of it, this year with our new pre and post game crew, we don't have any pitchers in our employ, do we? I mean, we've added a couple of hitters and
a couple of solid hitters,
Cliff Floyd and Preston Wilson, and we've got Jeff Conine. He was a college pitcher. In fact, he was not a position player in college. He was a pitcher. Turned himself into a very good major league player.
Let's just say we've added some thump to our crew.
We haven't added a pitcher. Here's the 2-2. Kuroda thought he had the strikeout.
3-2. Very close. Born in Osaka, his father played baseball in Japan for the Nankai Hawks.
And he spins one up there and gets Infante. The Marlins are done in the second. That Reyes double and the Hanley RBI single standing up so far 2 innings deep in Miami. The third inning, and we're joined now by third base coach for the Miami Marlins, Joe Espada, also infield instructor. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hey, fellas. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. What's game 2 in this ballpark? What are your impressions so far?
What a beautiful place. It's exciting. We've been waiting for this for a long time, and finally came here, and it's awesome. It feels great.
Hey, Joe, you and I were talking a little bit the other day about some of the, especially as a third base coach, some of the nuances and things that you really have to learn as a third base coach in this new park.
Yeah, you know what? Right now, guys, the surface is playing the same as Sun Life.
Which is fast.
I was talking to the grounds crew guys today, and he says that he's expecting this grass to grow, by late May and June when it really gets hot out here. So he expects it to grow faster. But right now he's playing just like Sun Life. And those walls are completely different than what we had back in Sun Life, since you have all that fencing around there. So, and obviously wider and deeper. So it's fun, You got some it's stuff that I got to learn, and I'm using all these exhibition games to do that.
And you and Joey Cora have been handling an infield that a lot of infield coaches would love to have. I mean, you look up the middle with Reyes and Infante. That's a great double play combination.
You're not kidding, man.
Gabby Sanchez was a Gold Glove finalist last year, and Hanley at third base. Let's talk about Hanley first and how he's handled the move from short to third.
Well, number one, Hanley's just a great athlete. So anytime you get an athlete like that with those instincts and ability, he could make the transition easier than some other players. That's my opinion. He's a great athlete, and he's working very hard to be the best he could be there at third. I give him a lot of credit. He's really taking his pride and joy on his defense at third, and also when he got somebody like Ray just next to him, pushing him every day and playing next to each other, it's an extra. So it's a great feeling as an infield coach, and to have guys and great athletes like that every day to work with.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. My next question was going to be, how much do you think Jose Reyes has helped Hanley make the transition?
Well, he's got a lot to do with it, They're both good workers, and Jose's every day, tell him just to go as hard as he can when they're taking the ground balls together, because, Jose's trying to learn how far to his left Hanley can go. So he knows, okay, this is how far he can go left, so I need to, help him out on this ground ball. And so when they both take ground balls together, Jose's paying attention to what Hanley's doing, and Hanley's paying attention to what Regis is doing. So they kind of know each other, and they're doing great, man. I can't be more pleased with what I see so far.
And I think the revolving door that the Mets have had at second base, for Reyes to look to his left and see Omar Infante every night, that's got to be a pleasure for him as well.
There's something good about this, and it's the fact that all four of them speak the same language. So the communication, it's there just because they're all speaking the same language, and then the fact they're all so so good with their gloves is a plus. So it's been awesome to watch early, the whole spring training and so far this season, how they're able to adjust to each other so easy. It feels like they've been playing together for 2 years. But that's credit to them how good they are and what they do.
Trademark Derek Jeter line drive over the head of Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah, right now, Carlos Zambrano struggling a little bit finding the spots on the plate. He threw that fastball. He threw a strike, but pretty much down the middle, and Jeter doesn't let many of those pass.
Well, we talked about the issues that Zambrano has had in spring, and he talked about control, a walk to Gardner. He's walked 3 in this ball game, and now he's got Granderson, Cano, and Alex Rodriguez to deal with. Some guys that can do a lot of damage. Granderson takes outside. Granderson led the Yankees in home runs, runs driven in. First player ever, 40 homers, 10 triples, 25 steals. So he certainly was a stat stuffer.
This is one very powerful line.
Oh.
It's incredible how quick, if you leave stuff in there, they could put a crooked number on that scoreboard in a hurry. So
yeah, we talked about that yesterday, Joe, and they had that 5-run 5th inning, and how fast the Yankees can do that.
Absolutely. As a defensive team, you really cannot make a mistake and give these guys extra outs. You know, you really got to make sure you know which base you're throwing the ball to. You really got to make sure you back up bases, you make the routine plays. Because if you give these guys an extra out, they'll definitely learn to make you pay. I don't see an easy out in that lineup. So
that pitch is up, and the bags are loaded. Now, Joe, one thing that the truck, our crack staff, wanted to point out is that when Eduardo was on yesterday, he actually did 2 half innings, and they went 1, 2, 3.
Right. Hey, I don't mind hanging out here with you guys.
All right, let's talk about Gabby Sanchez. I think a guy that has, when we first saw him coming up through the minor leagues, he was shaky at first base. For him to go from that to a finalist for a Gold Glove is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? Credit to Gabby, and Gabby's confidence has really improved. I felt like the first year when he was here, his first year in the big leagues, and he was, in my opinion, he was trying a little bit really hard to really make the plays, and I felt like the fact that he was trying so hard was hurting him. Instead of just play loose, be the guy that I saw you in the minor leagues, and everything will work out. So finally that happened to him last year, and he, in my opinion, he deserves, him and Omar, the Gold Glove over that first. But I saw him play him every day. So, but again, Gabby worked really, really hard and turned out to be a pretty good first baseman over there.
Well, just 5 errors last year for Gabby. He made 11 the year before, and made a terrific play in the ball game yesterday too. Yes,
and he works hard. He works hard. He wants to be mentioned with the Hosies and the Omar in the middle. He wants to also be in the conversation when we talk about good defenders. He wants to be mentioned. So, and he's working hard, and he's been mentioned.
Bags are loaded, filled with the Yankees. There's nobody out. The Marlins a 1-0 lead in the third.
The ground ball here really bad.
Zambrano, I think, agrees with you, Joe. And right now, Zambrano having trouble finding the strike zone.
Yeah, he's having trouble with his off-speed stuff, and so now he's got to throw a fastball. He's missed with a breaking ball. Look at the splits, strikes and balls, more balls than strikes. That's not good. And he's going to have to come with a fastball here to Cano.
And he misses down low. So Zambrano walks in a run. And that'll bring up Alex Rodriguez, and it will also bring Randy St. Clair out of the dugout. And he's on his way to talk to Carlos Zambrano. Now, Joe, you are a holdover from the last staff, and a credit to you that the Marlins have you here. So you've had a chance to see the arrival of the Burleys, the Bells, the Zambranos, the Reyeses. How has the whole, I guess, influx of new names, along with the guys that were here, the youngsters that they built the foundation on, how's that gone?
You know what? It brings this feeling that we could win. It's like, you know what? We're starting to really believe that we could win as a team, because we actually brought some players and try to cover some holes where we really, a closer, and now you bring a starting pitcher that could really help out JJ and Ricky and those guys, and you bring a Jose Reyes that they could really get that leadoff spot, even though Bonifacio did a great job. But now I got 2 leadoff guys in the top of the lineup, and all of a sudden, ball in the gap, those guys are on, and we 2-0. So it makes guys, when they walk around the clubhouse, they believe they could win, because we got some pieces here that we like, guys, we have a really good team. So when you bring guys like that in, it makes you believe, and really, you know what, we could do this. So hopefully we could do it. I think we could do it.
Now, Zambrano is out in front of a guy that has done quite well with the bases loaded in his career. That's Alex Rodriguez, the 0-2. It's fouled off.
Yeah, remember last time up, Zambrano was able to throw a fastball in on the hand by A-Rod. It's a pitch that he doesn't get to at this juncture of his career. 22 career grand slams. He also is very susceptible to hitting into double plays. So you have a guy who can hurt you one way with the grand slam, but you also have a guy who can hit into double plays.
0-2 coming. Breaking ball, soft fly ball, good arm in right with Stanton. Runner coming home.
He's out.
And he is safe. The ball bounces out of Buck's glove. Stanton threw a laser from right, and had Buck been able to hold it, Jeter would have been out. And that was the narration by a third base coach, Joe Espada.
That's a tough one because, you have speed at third, you have a good arm in right, and there's nobody out, and you are, it's you just take a gamble. And when it works out, guys, I tell you, it feels great. But when it doesn't, you're over here kicking yourself in the butt a little bit. But hey, you gotta take your chances. You gotta be aggressive. And if Tommy over at third saw that he could score, and he took his, and Jeter, and he's a good base runner, and he worked out.
Well, Rob Thompson, third base coach, he knows Jeter as well as anybody.
Right.
You know your runners as well as anybody. But you're right. It's one of those plays you take a chance on. A good throw, a little more at the plate. It was a little up the line. A good throw has Jeter.
Right, and you got nobody on. You got all these monsters coming behind you. So you're like, But hey, he knows his runners very well. So credit to him on that one.
And in watching the replay for John Buck, a difficult short hop, especially with the catcher's glove.
A ground ball, he's out of his jam here with not a lot of damage. So, talking about our defense and stuff, as a pitcher, I think, and I heard Burley and the JJ and Ricky, they talk about, it makes you feel, it makes you pitch more to contact when you have a Regis out there and an Omar in the middle and a more improved Gabby. And you know what? I'm going to make these guys put the ball in play. You know what I'm saying? When you have defense like that. So, Zambrano right now should be thinking, I'm going to make these guys put the ball in play because good things will happen when I got, a defense like this compared to the previous year. So just going back and talking about our defense like we were earlier.
How's it been, Joe, with the transition working with Ozzie?
You know what? He brings so much energy every day. It's unbelievable. He talks about Reyes and stuff like that, but this man, how much fun he has and how he really expects the players to do their part. He demands accountability, responsibility, and the players have really responded very well. And, I've been fortunate enough to be here through 4 different managers now in 2.5 years, and I have really learned a lot from all of them. But the way Ozzie goes about his daily preparation and get the guys, all hyped up and get ready for a major league game, it's very impressive.
As a staff, how did you approach, because this is the last spring training game, how did you approach spring training in terms of winning and losing and getting guys ready? What was the overall philosophy going into this spring?
Well, for me personally, I just wanted to get to know, some of the new guys. Working. I had Burley, who from all his career in the American League, working with his bunting. Zambrano is a guy that handles the bat well. But just getting those stuff done. Just getting the little things and getting to know them and getting to know my base runner, Giancarlo and Lomo's legs. So, for me, spring training is all about, number one, make sure those guys stay healthy, but also getting my reads, getting to know my base runner who go from first to third, knowing, Bonifacio's in center. Just a lot of stuff going on. So for us, it's more, prepare these guys, but also health is a big deal.
I heard a little. Did you think Infante had to play at second?
Yeah, I thought,
maybe not a double play.
It makes me wonder if he forgot how many outs he were. Since it was long inning, he probably, I could see those 2 boys turning that double play. Especially with Teixeira running at front.
You'll talk to him and discuss it after the inning, won't you?
Yeah. It'll definitely be, and that's what this is for us to prepare and Omar it's probably the best I saw last year. He was spectacular there, night in, night out.
A roller to first. Gabby has it, and Zambrano, despite all the walks, gives up a couple of runs. All right, Joe, thanks for the visit, and we'll see you on Wednesday night for the real deal.
All right, fellas, have a good one.
Thank you.
Joe Espada, terrific guy, Marlins third base coach. On Thursday, a 3:30 start for Marlins Live, 4 o'clock first pitch. It's a tradition in baseball, a long tradition in baseball. That season opener in Cincinnati. Off day on Friday, and we've got Saturday and Sunday for you as well on Fox Sports Florida. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini, our crack staff, John Sosa, our producer, Jim Hawley, our director. 30,000 strong are the Marlin fans, and a good mix of Yankee fans here as well tonight. Marlins Park in downtown Miami.
Happy to be playing a good many of his games inside, so he won't wear down in the heat and humidity of South Florida. John Buck had a couple of base hits in the ball game yesterday, and I really think because of his comfort level now with the club, knowing everybody, knowing the pitching, I think John Buck's going to have a very solid year, a better year than he had last year even. Fans
know how brutal the heat was at Sun Life Stadium in a day game or even a night game in the humidity. Buck was explaining yesterday about how oftentimes he would go in and change his pants, his undershirt, his jersey 3 times.
Pitchers would do that
3 times during the course of the game, and then at the end of the night he would wobble into the clubhouse 10 to 12 pounds lighter than he was at the start of the game. Now you go through that once or twice, okay, if you come in for a 3-game series, no problem. But when you have to do it 81 times, that can take a toll on you. Hiroki Kuroda into the 3rd. First AB for Buck. And John pulls it foul.
And John Buck appeared in 140 games last year. He started 129 of those.
Here's the 0-2 pitch to Buck. Slow tapper out toward short. Jeter comes in and gets it. And on the run, he throws him out. One out. If you want to come out to Marlins Park this season and see the Miami Marlins, you can secure your seats through a variety of season ticket and mini plan options. Save money on box office prices and enjoy all the benefits of being a Marlins season ticket holder. Pick up your plan today, 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com. Now Reyes, as Kuroda bounces one up there. The Yankees are doubling up on starters in this ballgame.
We talked about their rotation. We saw CC Sabathia yesterday. He'll be followed by Kuroda, and then Phil Hughes, who's going to pitch in this one tonight. After that, it's Ivan Nova. You mentioned a 16-game winner last year. And then Freddie Garcia, the veteran, with Michael Pineda on the disabled list right now. But don't be surprised if by mid-May or June, you see Andy Pettit in that rotation.
That's right. Pettit has re-upped with the Yankees. He's not nearly in game shape yet. But as you noted, in another month and a half, they're hopeful. Now, in your estimation, since he's been out a season, will it take him an extra 3 weeks to a month to ramp up to being game ready?
For a guy that has the delivery he has, that part of it I think will come to him. He actually threw 33 pitches in a simulated game yesterday and threw 25 strikes. But in his case, it's going to be the legs and how the foundation holds up and how he builds up the strength there. That's what Joe Girardi's going to wait for.
Reyes is on for the 2nd time tonight. He doubled in the 1st. A 1-out walk in the bottom of the 3rd with the Yankees on top 2-1. And here's Bonifacio. Alex Rodriguez is looking bunt at 3rd base. And Reyes dives back in.
I could give you a great trivia question. It's so early, though. We're just in our final moments of spring training. But you think of some of the really good and successful Japanese starters that have come over here to the United States. But of all of those starters with a minimum of 50 starts, Hiroki Kuroda has the best earned run average.
Yeah, we talked about the ERA in his run with the Dodgers. And
you've got a Hideo Nomo, you've got Daisuke, and now we'll get a chance, everybody will get a chance to see Yu Darvish with the Texas Rangers.
Darvish has the most flamboyant hairstyle of any Japanese player since maybe Shinjo. Remember Shinjo, the outfielder?
Shinjo had the glowing wristbands.
Two 2-0. With Kuroda keeping an eye on Reyes at first. Of course, the regular season opening in Japan with Seattle and Oakland splitting a 2-game series. Those teams are back to playing spring training games. Bonifacio on the 2-0 pitch goes after it, and he fouls it into the seats. Now, if Emilio Bonifacio goes on to be a great Major League player, he can thank Jack McKeon in Oakland last year. After Jack took over the club, McKeon took Bonifacio aside and said, when I tell you to run, you run. And if you get caught, it's on me. And he also told him, I need you to take more pitches. And if you strike out, it's on me. And look at the difference after the pep talk by Jack. It's amazing that he played 3 months and had 5 stolen bases.
Obviously, Ozzie Guillen knows that, but somehow you had the feeling if Bonifacio were to get off to a slow start, maybe not get on base, not steal so many bases, he might get a call from Jack McKeon.
2-1. Reyes in the right field. Bonifacio in the right field. Reyes avoided the ball. The throw is cut, and you got speed on the corners now with Bonifacio and Reyes. That one zoomed right by Jose Reyes. And here comes Hanley. Here's another look.
Watch where the second baseman is, Robinson Cano, and watch what he does. There goes Reyes. There goes Cano. Big opening on the right side to get that ball right in there. A little bit of a pause by Reyes to make sure the ball got by him and didn't hit him. And then Jeter cuts it off because he knows there's not a play at third base. Here's that situation, too, with Hanley Ramirez up. Less than 2 out. Man at third base. You just feel good as a hitter.
Yankee infield looking for a ground ball. And a strike. And it's a situation we talked about yesterday as well with Bonifacio at first, because obviously he's a terrific base stealer. Now you're first and third with speed. If he steals second, maybe you take the bat out of Hanley's hand, but you've got Stanton hitting behind Hanley right now.
Licking his chops for RBIs.
So there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah, a lot of things to think about, too, even if you're the defense. Right now, if you're Russell Martin, Jeter, Cano up the middle, Kuroda, the pitcher, you have to determine, okay, if Bonifacio takes off, likelihood of throwing him out, very slim, so you may not want to throw through to second base. So all kinds of things to think about there as well.
I'll tell you the one thing that you have to like if you're a Marlin fan is the 2 games that Bonifacio has had here against the Yankees after a spring which was very slow in terms of getting on base and causing the havoc that he did last year. Hanley takes a high fastball, and it's 1-2.
Well, the bottom line, his job is to score runs, and he scored a couple of runs in the ball game yesterday.
He's 1 for 2 in this one. Bonifacio's at first. You see Reyes and Joe Espada at third base. Kuroda against Hanley Ramirez with Stanton on deck. And Kuroda is suspicious that maybe Bonifacio is running as well. That one's in. The top of the order with Reyes and Bonifacio, certainly a reminder of the 2003 season when these two teams met in the World Series, and that guy was coaching third base for Jack McKeon, and the Marlins had Juan Pierre and Luis Castillo at the top of the order.
And every once in a while they'd flip-flop. But either way, you had speed at the top. And Ozzie over in that third base coach's box, he knew what to do with it.
Russell Martin calling for time behind the plate.
And happy to see where Juan Pierre, as a non-roster invitee, has made the Philadelphia Phillies ball club.
That will make a very, very tough race in the East. A little more interesting for Marlin fans to have JP wearing a Philly uniform.
And with some of the injuries they have, moving some people to first base, opening up left field a little bit, he may get some playing time.
I think the guy that most scouts agree is poised to have a monster year is Hunter Pence. Two. And Hanley goes down.
This time, Hiroki Kuroda comes out on top. Makes a good pitch, a little slide piece. Gets Hanley to chase. But the whole key to that, getting 2 strikes on him, and then allows him to make that pitch just off the plate.
So it's Stanton. Giancarlo bounced to short in the first.
I'll say one of the differences, though, Rich, with Hunter Pence, yes, they'll have him for a full year, but he'll be in the lineup initially, first month, maybe 2 months, without a Ryan Howard, maybe without an Utley for that long time.
The Phillies are hopeful that a guy like Ty Wigington can plug some holes. They have Jim Thome that is going to see some time at first base, though he hasn't played much first base in a long time. Runner goes, pitches high, and Bonifacio takes the bag. And it counts 1-1.
I think the bottom line, though, as well as Ty Wigington has hit the Marlins in his career, you'd rather face him than a Ryan Howard.
And the bottom line with the Phillies is if they get just a few runs, they're going to win a lot of ball games with 3 number 1s in that rotation, and Vance Worley coming on quickly as well. Stanton takes low and inside, and it's 2-1.
Phillies playing a night game tonight over in Clearwater. It's the Pirates.
Two-one pitch coming. Stanton takes low and inside. Now here's that dynamic we were talking about with Hanley at the plate. You steal second base. Is a guy like Kuroda being cautious with Stanton to face Morrison?
Yeah, but you have a left-hander on deck. You would like to think that Stanton will see a fastball here, but that's not a guarantee from Kuroda. And he didn't.
Took a rip at it.
And it wasn't a good slider. It looked like a little backup slider. The pitch he likes to use to a lot of times put hitters away is that split.
Stand off the end of the bat, drives it into left, and a running catch by Ibanez, and the inning is over. Reyes and Bonifacio left in scoring position. Marlins and Yankees.
This is a must-see behind home plate, first base side, Museo de Bobblehead. It's the official museum of the bobblehead stars. These guys finally have a right place to be honored, and it's here. The Yankee players are here. I think it's just about every bobblehead ever made here, including the great shot of Reggie Jackson, large head, but you know he was known for his big ego. Now, Greg, come on in. This is your favorite bobblehead, Game 2 of the '91 World Series, featuring Ron Gant and Ken Hrbek. Why?
Yes, sir. It's pretty much when it was bad news for the Braves when Ken Hrbek pulled his leg off the bag and the umpires called him out.
Been safe.
Clearly safe.
Well, yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
All right, come on this side. Bobblehead Museum. Some National League teams on this side, including all of your favorite Marlins. You can't look at our pal Cliff Floyd. He looks very handsome there, huh? Back to you guys.
You see the council bobblehead with his hands up.
You're right there by Ryan Dempster, bobblehead. That's a great feature.
All right, let's see if Carlos Zambrano can calm down here. He has thrown 63 pitches. Only 30 of them have been strikes. He's working on Ibanez, and breaking ball is pulled foul. Ibanez an 0 for 1 night. He has hit 3 spring homers and driven in 10 runs.
You know, the other veteran, that's a good start to this inning for Zambrano. The other veteran the Yankees have that will fill the role, some DHing, maybe some left field play, is Andrew Jones. They have a couple of guys like Ibanez and Jones in that role. They'll just settle into that Yankee lineup. But a good pitch, good moving fastball that came back in and caught the inside corner.
Now Russell Martin fouls it back.
So you got a guy, let's see, Raul Ibanez, 252 career home runs. You have Andrew Jones, 420 career home runs. They're bench players. They're not everyday players for the Yankees.
That's how deep the Yankees are. Though many feel in the American League East that Rays rotation is going to carry them to the postseason again. And they won't have to do it in the 24th hour of the last day of the season.
Well, they'll do it that way. They hope they don't have to do it that way. James Shields, David Price.
And some great young arms there as well.
Jeremy Hellickson.
Morrison over there, and he makes the catch. And Russell Martin is out number 2.
Matt Moore, Wade Davis. That's a good starting 5.
Some feel of all those pitchers that Matt Moore may be in a couple years the best. Though you talk to Joe Madden, and he talks certainly about Shields and what he means. 11 complete games last year.
And I believe he was tabbed as their opening day starter.
And you got Bobby Valentine in Boston, and you've got a Toronto team that just keeps getting better and better. They've done such a nice job of drafting. The sign of Jose Bautista a year ago, some people thought, well, that's a real gamble, and then he backed it up with another big season in 2011. So the National League East and the American League East, no easy place to play baseball this year.
Yeah, a lot of people touting the young left-hander with the Rays. Matt Moore is a possible Rookie of the Year candidate.
Brett Gardner takes a rising fastball.
And I'll tell you what, a guy that we're going to see in Cincinnati that is getting a little consideration in that area in the National League, Devin Mesoraco, their young catcher.
2-1 pitch. Gardner takes a strike. Gardner, a very accomplished bunter. Really haven't seen in the spring too many teams try to test Hanley Ramirez with bunts, but I expect once the bell rings, a lot of teams are going to see how he makes that play.
And really for Hanley, who's been an infielder and is a terrific athlete, he knows how to charge a ball. It's just a little different throw. I mean, he's made that charge as a shortstop on a slow roller and thrown across the diamond. This is just a little different angle.
If you're just joining us, the Marlins and the Yankees in the top of the fourth. The roof is open on a splendid evening in Miami. The lights of the city coming alive. Not only do you have the roof open, but the panels are open in left field. With the downtown skyline dancing. It's about 10 blocks from Marlins Park to the downtown business area. There are parking garages actually down in that Brickell area, down in the business district, which also offer game day parking and shuttles to and from Marlins Park. Well, let's see if Gardner's on the move. He last year led the American League in stolen bases.
Pretty amazing and there were times he hit at the top of the order, but for the most part, a number 9 hitter can lead the league in stolen bases.
He was tied with Coco Crisp at 49.
How about Coco Crisp moving over from center field to left field in that Oakland A's lineup to make way for Yoenis Cespedes,
who has unbelievable power. The Marlins made the same offer in terms of dollars as Oakland, reportedly, but it was over a 6-year period. Oakland was able to sign him and offer him 4 years.
And I also think Oakland has offered him more of an opportunity to play every day.
That's a good point, because he's probably not on the ball club in the final days of spring if he signs with the Marlins. Here's the 1-1. Jeter takes in. Jeter has looked sharp at the plate.
He's had a great spring.
And he's had a great 2 days here in Miami. Bat looks quick.
How about the way he got his 3,000th hit last year? A 5-for-5 day, and number 3,000 was a home run off David Price.
What was amazing was not only is that fact, but I believe it was HBO was following him and making a documentary on getting his 3,000th hit, and so to do it in such grand fashion and do it in the middle of an HBO documentary, great timing. Infante Reyes races over, steps on the bag. Marlins, Yankees headed to the bottom of the fourth. And the Marlins Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it's on to cue the Philly footage. Philadelphia. Monday, and that's the home opener for the Phillies. Off day on Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday. It all starts with Marlins Live. It all starts on Thursday at 3:30, 4 o'clock first pitch. We'll have our new studio. Cliff Lloyd, Preston Wilson will be in there. Craig Minervini. Allison Williams will be traveling with us. She's no Rosie Red, but Allison Williams will be with us on the road trip. 2-1. Yankees on top. It's the bottom of the fourth.
got Boone Logan going to bridge the gap between Hiroki Kuroda and Phil Hughes. Evidently, he'll be part of that bullpen as one of the left-handers down there for Joe Girardi. A bullpen that we talked about yesterday that when you get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings can be very devastating. David Robertson, Rafael Soriano, and of course Mariano Rivera, one of the best back end of a bullpen that is in this game of baseball right now.
Yankees bullpen ERA last year was the best in the American League, a 3.12 ERA. It's like Rafael Soriano is up. He appeared in the ball game yesterday. Managers at this time certainly wanting to protect arms and ease guys in, but they also would like to see relievers work consecutive days because the season is a couple of days away, and they need to know how guys react, make sure that everybody's on board with being able to work on back-to-back games. Logan misses high.
I would imagine we'll see Heath Bell in this one to get an opportunity.
It's Boone Logan against Logan Morrison. And Logan, it just sounds odd to say that, and this is outside, especially when you're staring at Morrison. Last year, a very different year for Logan Morrison statistically from 2010. Drives that ball to center, hits it deep. Gardner goes back at the track, looks up, and off the wall it goes. And Logan Morrison has himself a double. As we talked about yesterday, Tommy, for guys like Logan Morrison and Gabby Sanchez, who are gap-to-gap hitters, there are some enormous gaps to shoot for in this park.
Boy, this is just sweet hitting by Logan Morrison. Good jump, tremendous speed by Brett Gardner, but he can't catch up to it. That ball stung, and then just one hops off that mesh. And that's what outfielders are going to have to deal with, how the ball is going to come back to them, how to play caroms. The Marlins outfielders will certainly have to deal with that more than the visiting team. So you saw that ball kind of hit, short hopped, and then stuck to that fence, and Gardner had to go get it.
2 years ago, for Logan Morrison, it was all about getting on base. He had the .390 on base percentage, but just 2 home runs. Last year, his on base percentage was down at .330, but he had 23 homers and drove in 72 runs. He was more of a run producer. Gabby Sanchez takes a strike. Gabby, on the other hand, has had 2 eerily similar years. An all-star season last year, 19 homers in both 2010 and 2011.
He's averaged 36 doubles the last couple of years. I think the thing we'd all like to see from Gabby, and he would like to see it himself, is to maintain and have a solid second half the way he's put together a real solid first half.
And you wonder if some of that had to do with the ballpark and
the heat.
Absolutely. Because his first and second half splits also very similar in 2010, 2011.
Oh, nice.
Muscles it into right field. It bounces in front and by Swisher. Morrison will score. And Gabby Sanchez pulls in at second with a single and an error on Nick Swisher.
That hole at bat, Gabby was trying to inside out, just send the ball the other way to get Morrison over to third base. Look at this hit. Look at this pitch is. Look how he brings his hands in, shoots it into right field. That is beautiful. And it has some spin on it. Swisher can't handle the spin, and that allows not only Lomo to score, but it allows Gabby to go to second base.
Now, you brought up something earlier in the telecast, which is worth noting. The outfield here is not a cross-cut outfield. For someone that doesn't follow baseball, that's confusing. If you know your baseball, you know that for outfielders, a cross-cut outfield, which looks like a checkerboard, is beautiful to look at, but it yields some nasty pops for charging outfielders.
Yeah, outfielders call it the snake. The ball snakes out to them, and that's why with the outfield grass cut the way it is here, outfielders can be more aggressive.
Now you got Greg Dobbs up with a runner at second and nobody out. See if Dobbs goes into pull mode here. And I think he was in that mode the first 2 pitches, and he's behind in the count 0-2.
Yeah, and he's seen a couple of pretty good sliders from Boone Logan.
Single and an error. Gabby Sanchez at second and nobody out. A run across bottom of the 4th. Logan almost caught the corner. Dobbs has yet to see anything straight, and he's 1-2. There's the fastball. And he got it up there at 94 miles an hour.
Yeah, he ran it in on his hands after throwing nothing but sliders away.
Marlins going with the alternate red-orange caps. And Dobbs does pull the ball. Cano to his left. And a nice at bat, a professional at bat, as some would say, by Greg Dobbs. He moves Gabby Sanchez within 90 feet of home plate.
Well, we've seen 3 great at bats here in this inning. Started with Logan Morrison's double, Gabby's effort, and this effort right here by Greg Dobbs. Just almost snuck it by Robinson Cano, but you don't do that too often. But a job well done by Dobbs.
Now, we'll see if Omar Infante can drive the run in. With 1 out, the Yankee infield up the middle is back. In fact, Alex Rodriguez has backed up at third base as well. We've got a very good contact man in Omar Infante. He tries to pull one, and it's 0-1. Infante right now is slotted for the 7th spot in the lineup. But certainly, if the Marlins give Jose Reyes an off day and slide Bonifacio to the leadoff spot, Infante is a candidate to hit second. He did hit second last year at times.
He has that ability. He has the ability to use great back control. He can move the ball around. Doesn't strike out a whole lot.
Here's the 1-1. Now there's a first for the Marlins' new ballpark. Not quite Shea or Citi Field like, but you can hear a jet from the nearby Miami International Airport.
So our first flyover.
Yeah. Way out in front. That one off the end of the bat and counts 2-2. Now if you're Infante, you're in contact mode, just trying to put it in play. Ground ball here would give the Marlins another run. Teixeira, the only member of the Yankees infield that's up. He's even with the bag, as you see. Got him. Nasty breaking ball. And that may be it for Boone Logan.
Yeah, that is a dandy slider. Buries it down and in. Tough pitch to lay off of when you have 2 strikes. And he gets a big strike out there.
Looks like Rafael Soriano is going to trot in. And John Buck is the hitter with a runner at third. And a couple outs in a 2-2 game. Miami and the Yankees. a chance to look around the place, those are the fish tanks. Now, the back of the fish tanks are a lot more transparent than the front. The front shaded and tilted, so there'll be no reflection of light and it won't interfere with any infielders. But we watched the fish tank guy in there this afternoon, making sure everybody was well fed, making sure everything was clean.
I was amazed at how he was able to get in there with his wetsuit on.
Soriano now.
And snorkel.
Buck swings and misses.
I think what Joe Girardi, by the way, is doing in this game, in this inning in particular, is to try to get a couple of his relievers who were going to be used in situations like this, in meaningful games, trying to create that right here.
Buck fouls it back. As well, we talked about doubling up Soriano's workload. Spring training, pitching coaches and managers have a huge grease board in the office, spring training headquarters. They map out every pitcher and his workload every day. As the spring draws to a close, you start to see guys work on consecutive days just to get their bodies, their arms ready for that. Soriano's spring training numbers.
Most relievers, 6, 7, 10 innings. About the most they're going to work and need.
Martin holds on. Buck fouls it off. And the Marlins will have to settle for just the one run. 2-2 going to the fifth. Scoreboard hanging over right center field. This is a very intimate park. It's the smallest park capacity-wise in Major League Baseball. 36,000 seats, approximately 1,000 standing room. So it's a small park. In left field, they have a smaller video board. You can see that 401 below the board. That's not section 401. That's 401 feet from home plate. In a variety of spots in the outfield, the Marlins have put home run distances up. There's 502 in that little section. There's a real cool section right in center field. That's the only one directly in line with home plate and the mound.
Who's the first to go in that section, you think?
His name starts with G.
The G-Man.
Not Z, but G. Zambrano. This is outside. Yankees pulled their regulars about 4 or 5 innings into yesterday's ball game. Marlins stuck with the regulars till about the 7th. And for many of the Yankee regulars, this will be their last spring training game.
Looks like Brett Hayes has come into the game to handle Zambrano.
Zambrano, wildness has marked his night tonight. That one pulled down the right field line. It's a fair ball, and into the corner it goes, and Granderson with that speed, an easy double. Zambrano worked a nice tidy fourth inning, but the Yankees have a leadoff hit here in the fifth. Robinson Cano and Alex Rodriguez coming up.
Like a flat slider or splitter. A good hitting area for a low ball hitter in Granderson. I think the thing that you have to concern yourself with somewhat is the fact that in his last outing, Zambrano walked 5 in 4 innings. He's walked 6 tonight as he works here in the fifth.
Of course, in terms of dollars and cents, Zambrano is making $18 million this year, and the Cubs are paying most of it, $15.5 million. So the Marlins are on the hook for only $2.5 million for Zambrano. Marlins did trade Chris Volstad for this, at least initial season of Zambrano.
Yeah, and Chris going into arbitration making about that. So in essence, you get an all-star, albeit a guy coming off injuries and not pitching well in Zambrano, but you replace Chris Volstad with a guy who's been there, done that. And up until his last outing, I was following Chris's spring training with the Cubs. He had a good spring. His last outing wasn't a good one. Gave up 4 or 5 runs, but other than that, is in that rotation for the Cubs this year.
Cubs trying to make a complete transformation, a makeover that may take a couple of seasons. To left, long run for Morrison, and it's going to land foul. So it counts 2-2. That's a division that I don't want to say has been decimated, but certainly has been weakened. You subtract the presence of Prince Fielder from Milwaukee and Albert Pujols from the Cardinals. Cardinals are hoping that Carlos Beltran has some more left in the tank, and they are hopeful that Chris Carpenter can get back in that rotation to be healthy and join Adam Wainwright, who missed last year. It's amazing that Cardinals won the World Championship last year, and Wainwright didn't throw a pitch.
Yeah, a Cy Young winner. Didn't pitch. They won the World Series. So a lot of talk around Cardinals camp, and we hear a lot of it because it's in the same beautiful ballpark, Roger Dean, as the Marlins, was that, well, Chris Carpenter, if he's down, no big deal. Can win a World Series anyway. But they need him.
And so Cano has walked. Now Ozzie Guillen staring out at Alex Rodriguez for the 3rd time tonight. It's one of the reasons the Marlins were very pleased with and made the deal for Wade LeBlanc is in case of injury. A-Rod hits a deep one to center. Bonifacio turned around. That ball is off the wall. Racing towards third is Cano, and he's going to score 2 runs across Alex Rodriguez in his hometown of Miami. He's given the Yankees a 4-2 lead.
Well, you put yourself in that situation where you have to throw fastballs, and sooner or later you're going to get hurt. And that's going to be all for Carlos Zambrano as Ozzie makes the move. As a runner, you watch the outfielder. Bonifacio knows this ball's over his head right away. Right there, he turns the plate off the wall. As a runner, you see that, so you should have no hesitation. Little bobble, but it didn't matter. Both Granderson and Cano scoring.
So A-Rod with quite a blast. It's about a 420-foot double. Mike Dunn. And Zambrano heads to the dugout. we will step aside with the Yankees on top now, 4-2. Miami. This is really our first look at a game with the roof open at night. The windows wide open and left. The downtown skyline all lit up. And Mike Dunn comes out of the Marlins pen. Dunn working in back-to-back ball games.
Yeah, we saw Mike work in the ball game yesterday afternoon. Gave up a leadoff double, a walk, had a strikeout, another walk. Too many walks, and that was certainly the case with Carlos Zambrano. 93 pitches, 47 balls, 46 strikes, and 7 walks to add to that. There's that beautiful skyline.
Now Teixeira with A-Rod at second, and Dunn with a strike, and it's 0-1.
Flips Teixeira over to the right side of the plate. A career 300 hitter as a right-handed hitter for Tex.
Teixeira, his 4th year with the Yankees. He was a first-round draft pick long ago by Texas, 5th overall in 2001. He's one of the modern-day superstar players who's been dealt a few times.
Where he has fallen short the last couple of years, and I probably don't have to remind Yankee fans, is in the postseason. Last couple of years in postseason, just a 156 average, only 1 home run.
Spent 5 years in Texas. Remember the couple of seasons in Atlanta, then traded to the Angels, was there less than half a season, and signed an enormous contract with the Yankees through 2016, an 8-year, $180 million deal. A-Rod away from second, the 2-2 coming. Broken bat, little roller into left field. Alex had to wait to see if it got into left. And so a base hit. Here comes Nick Swisher. Toyota brings you the upcoming schedule for the Marlins. Marlins and Cardinals on Wednesday open up the season. That's an ESPN exclusive. We start our telecast on Thursday with the opener for the Reds. The traditional opener in Cincinnati. It's a 4 o'clock first pitch, 3:30 for Marlins Live. Off day on Friday. Montgomery in day on Friday, actually, to be honest with you. Saturday, a 6:30 Marlins Live, 7 o'clock game time. Afternoon game on Sunday. And then a 1 o'clock game in Philadelphia. Nick Swisher now. And he takes a strike. It counts 0-1. Marlins have yet to get an out here in the 5th. Alex Rodriguez, a booming double to drive in 2. To share a single. He's at first. Ground ball. Reyes got one. Infante's turn, and it gets under the glove of Gabby Sanchez. It will not be an error, but a run does score. For those of you in spring training fantasy leagues, Swisher does get an RBI.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were not spring training fantasy leagues. This is a play Gabby will say, most of the time I got to pick that ball. And if he picks that ball, it's a double play. So the inning's extended.
Ibanez now. 3 runs across here in the 5th and a 5-2 Yankee lead. Ground ball. Infante. Reyes double clutch with a strong arm throws out Ibanez. The Yankees strike for 3, and they do it with a big hit by Alex Rodriguez. 5-2 Yankees. We showed you all over Marlins Park the Clevelander out in left field. Tommy and I went out there yesterday longingly looking at the menu, looking at the food, and guess what?
We have our order. It's been delivered, Rich.
Vanessa has brought us our food. Hi, Vanessa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. Now, you've had the Clevelander open for a couple of games, a day and a night. What's it been like out there?
It's actually been pretty awesome. We can't wait for it to explode, really. But you know, it's been great. It's been actually great. I just can't wait to actually work a lot more. You know.
Now, do you work at the Clevelander, the actual
yes.
hotel on South Beach?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I work in the Miami Beach. I do work there full time, and I've been bartender there for like almost 2 years now. So we're excited about this new upcoming.
Did you mix our drinks?
No. These are Tommy. These are non-alcoholic margaritas.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's because our boss is sitting up there. We have to be.
They are. Yeah,
okay.
they are up
yeah,
here.
They were like,
the suits are up here. So, hey, tell me what's the most popular item at the Clevelander right now?
One of our new popular items here for this location is the tater nachos, and it's going to be like nachos just without the chips. Instead of chips, tater tots. And then we have our hot dog, bacon wrapped hot dog, and it's one of our new menus. So it's, you know, you need to come and try it. A lot more. Bring everybody.
We will. Has anyone gone in the pool yet?
Yes, we actually have some people in the pool today.
Oh, nice.
We have a couple girls and some guys, so they're having a good time, just like at the other Clevelander, you know.
Very nice.
How do you like our view up here? We have a nice view.
It's great. It's awesome. It's great. It's great. It's amazing. You guys are pretty lucky. You guys get to see the Clevelander all the time.
We do.
Yes, we do. Well, we appreciate you coming up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
For the beverages, the non-alcoholic beverages, and the appetizers as well. All right, Vanessa, thank you very much. We will come by and see you, and our cameraman will be out there throughout the 2012 season.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you then.
Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, and our thanks to the Clevelander for sending up.
One more on camera.
Strike a pose.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. only in Miami. Russell Martin running right into the fish tank and making the catch. And Martin, yes, he's turning and looking at the fish tank, and it held up. I mean, if it holds up with Russell Martin bearing down.
And you have a nice padding there. You got to look at a couple of the fish in the fish tank. Good concentration by Russell Martin. And with Phil Hughes on the mound, 1 down. I think we saw a familiar face there, too.
Hey, that's Javi Vasquez.
Hey, Javi. We had a chance to talk to Javier Vasquez before the game. He is enjoying his retirement immensely.
No, that's a thing of beauty. Bonifacio with Jeter back just slaps it between the pitcher and the third baseman. We saw him do it a lot last year. And he's got himself a base hit.
Yeah, so many times you see that hitter try to go up the third base line, but if Bonifacio with his speed can just bunt it on the ground past the pitcher out toward the shortstop, 9 times out of 10 he's going to have himself a base hit.
You know, I've lost absolutely all track of this game since Vanessa came up and brought us the food.
Those non-alcoholic beverages.
Hanley takes a fastball for a strike. Hanley facing Hughes. Hughes, a Southern California guy like yourself. First round pick back in 2004.
Had some right arm inflammation last year, which when he came into spring training gave the Yankees some.
Hanley to left field. That ball's well hit, but Ibanez is shy of the track and makes the catch.
They had some thoughts as to how they were going to use Hughes, but he's come through things all right. And they hope they get the Phil Hughes they had in 2010.
He was huge
when he was an 18-game winner and an all-star.
Yeah, 18-8. And I think the Yankees and many people around the American League felt that coming off that 2010 season, he came into camp in 2011 and was not in the best of shape. Had put on some weight and the right shoulder suffered. Coming into the spring, he has shed 20 pounds. I think the key for anybody that comes into spring having shed 20 pounds is keeping it off over the course of the season.
Spring training's not too hard.
That ball to left center field. Gardner will make the catch. And Phil Hughes works a scoreless 5th inning. On to the 6th. The Yankees on top 5-2. A true VIP hospitality night. Marlins Park is a great place to come. A variety of areas, the Fiesta Suites, the bullpen zone, the Clevelander, already a favorite for Tommy Hutton and me. Budweiser bow tie bar out there in left field. Enjoy air-conditioned comfort, great food options, and premium entertainment. 1-877 Marlins, or go to marlins.com today. You've got the great view up there from the Budweiser perch, and then you go down into the Clevelander. Now the pool for the Clevelander, I don't know if we can get a shot of that, but it's behind the seats. You see the green seats right up against the fence. Then you've got another row of seats
right in here. Those are nice seats.
If you got to go left, the pool is right in there, right behind there. That Clevelander sign is at the back of the pool. There you go. Look at the right. See the guy in the pool right there. See the dolphin in the pool
right in here.
There you
right
go.
in here. Yeah. And then if you go down the right field line, you've got the Fiesta bullpen seats, which are also pretty cozy. No one down there right now, but certainly this will be packed right in this area, jam-packed Wednesday night. Gives you the feel of being in that bullpen. Got a few changes for the Marlins in this inning. Ryan Webb will take them out, and certainly will figure into the efforts of the bullpen this year to making the Marlins bullpen, which certainly has the capabilities of being a very strong, very solid bullpen.
Russell Martin to face Webb. Brett Gardner is on deck. So the Yankees going with their stars a little longer in this ball game. Marlins have a new left side of the infield with Donnie Murphy at third base, Donovan Solano at short. Chris Coughlin is now in left field. Isaac Galloway is out in center. It's the last spring training game, Tommy.
So it certainly is.
It's the last time you have to write, erase, scratch out.
It really gets you ready for the season.
3-1 coming. Popped foul out of play. Since it's the last spring training game, and since we're headed to the season opener on Wednesday, the biggest change in baseball this year is the additional postseason team, the additional wild card team, and a one-game play-in game, so to speak. It's a postseason game, a one-game playoff,
which will make for a lot of excitement, that one game. But I think the goal of everybody, and certainly Ozzie spoke of it early in spring training, that's not the goal of the Marlins. The Marlins want to win. They want to eliminate after playing one game. And I'm one who feels, hey, the one game will be exciting, but that team who he's having fun with guys in the other dugout. But that team who qualifies for the one game, that's all they should get, one game.
Ozzie seems to have conversations during the game with not only umpires, but the opposing manager. I think it's Alex Rodriguez and Girardi.
Yeah, it's in the direction of Joe Girardi, but A-Rod's right next to him, so that's who he's talking
to. Gardner takes outside. It's almost to the point where you could actually put a picture-in-picture of just Ozzie in the corner during a half inning.
I'm going to say right now that we probably won't see that conversation between Ozzie and Bobby Valentine when the Marlins play the Red Sox this year.
You're really going out on a limb. That's going to be an interesting dynamic in the whole American League East.
By the way, you saw Joey Cora giving some signs. He'll get those from Ozzie, and more often than not, he'll be the one throwing the signs out there to the catcher, to Joe Espada.
Joey Cora,
the Marlins are hitting.
Joey Cora is a guy that many people regard as a future manager in the game. Ozzie said, and he has said in the last couple of years, he's surprised that no one has hired Joey Cora. Liner into right, and a diving catch by Giancarlo Stanton. Now that was just like Mike.
Boy, the Marlins have made a couple of nice catches tonight. The one in left field, the Logan Morrison made. That one right there by Giancarlo. Look at that full extension. And also alertness when he came up to check the runner at first base.
Here is Jeter for his 4th at bat of the ball game in a 5-2 Yankee lead. We talked about the many milestones for Derek Jeter. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you. Today, Ozzie Guillen was talking to us. He said his favorite player in the history of baseball, in the top 2, and #1 on his list here and at bat right now, Derek Jeter. He said nobody gets a standing ovation when you go out the stretch. Called him a baseball god who represents the game better than anybody, and he listed some of the greats of all time. Just a terrific player. Mentioned Jim Thome in the kind of a class player, a good ambassador. Somebody asked Ozzie who his second favorite is, and he said me, which got a big laugh. But really glowing remarks from Ozzie, the respect he has, that baseball has for the Yankee captain #2.
Well, Craig and Tommy obviously has seen him play an awful lot of games.
And Ozzie, being a former shortstop, can appreciate the many things Jeter does on the field. And I think everybody, or anybody that's followed this game, appreciates what Derek Jeter has done off the field in representing the game of baseball.
Jeter, his 17th year with the Yankees, a 12-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves. Not only an All-Star MVP, but a World Series MVP.
7 different seasons he's had 200 hits or more.
And of course, he and Posada, Mariano Rivera,
Bernie Williams,
all kind of coming on board as the Buck Showalter era ended and the Joe Torre era began between the 95 and 96 season. Jeter jammed on that pitch, dumps it into the seats.
Now you have Jeter, who will turn 38 in June. Mariano Rivera, who's 42. You have Posada, who's retired. And Bernie Williams.
I think Bernie Williams is out on tour somewhere. A great classical guitarist.
Classical jazz.
And Andy Pettit's coming back. We talked about Stanton under that one, a much easier catch for Jeter is the second out. Curtis Granderson is coming up. How do you think the ballpark has played, Tommy, on this night with roof open and windows open?
You know, I think because we've not had wind, it's played pretty much like it played last night. I think the difference in that one game we saw against the college team where it was so windy and the ball just jumped out, it was because of the wind. But I think with the stillness outside, it's pretty much played the same, I think.
Well, if you were to tell me that Andrew Jones would still be in the game, what, 3 years ago when we saw him really struggle?
When he was with the Dodgers.
Yeah. Well, even in his final year with the Braves, he was on the decline. But he has stuck around. Found a home with the Yankees.
He had that year in 08 with the Dodgers. He hit 158 and had 3 home runs in 75 games. But as we mentioned earlier, a guy with 420 career home runs, Andrew Jones. And always, maybe not to the degree he used to, but at one time, 10 straight Gold Gloves in center field.
That run ended after the 2007 season. always been a back leg hitter, a guy that would really sit and spin. We've seen him hit some home runs where he was almost kneeling on that right knee,
where it almost looked like he fell down.
Right. Pop up, and Gabby Sanchez is there, and he makes the catch. Ozzie Cam as we go to break in a 5-2 Yankee lead. B for the Yankees. Hiroki Kuroda got the start. A lot of Yankee fans in South Florida for sure. They're out to see the Yankees. 30,000 in the park tonight. Marlin and Yankee fans. Last season, 97 and 65. They ran into the Tigers and lost that series in 5 games in the division series. One-run games, surprisingly, with that very good bullpen, the lowest ERA in the American League. They were 3 under. Look what happened in extra innings. They won 97 games. In 2010, they lost in the American League Championship Series to the Texas Rangers in 6 games. And, of course, in 2009, they were the world champions. Girardi, his first year as a manager, 2006 with the Marlins.
Hasn't time flown by? Would you have guessed this is Joe Girardi's 5th season managing the Yankees?
Went up to the broadcast booth for a stay before being named the Yankee skipper.
And it's fun looking at the broadcasters on the television side of the Yankees. They have numerous broadcasters with Chris Coughlin standing in here.
I don't want to say it's like Yankee old timer day where you see all the great Yankees and even some of the not so great Yankees come back.
Well, anchoring, Michael Kay and Ken Singleton pretty much handle the play-by-play duties.
Coughlin got sawed off. Alex is there, and he makes the catch.
A couple of terrific guys and tremendous broadcasters. And then handling the color analysis, former pitcher David Cohn. We saw Al Leiter last night. Al works many games. Jack Curry, John Flaherty, Paul O'Neill, and added to the group this year, a friend of mine, Lou Piniella.
The skipper is going to do some games. He was very good on the postseason. Let's look at David Wells.
David Wells. I can remember working some games years ago.
You were a Yankee broadcaster.
Yeah, and I remember at that time Lou was kind of in transition. Actually, the 3 years I was there, he filled many roles. Manager at times, and then he was upstairs, and he'd come in the booth and work some games with us on air too. So we always wish Lou the best.
Greg Dobbs now will get his 3rd at bat. You see the spring training numbers for Dobbs, a very short spring training with the hamstring injury. And Dobbs fouls back a fastball from Hughes. Marlins signing Dobbs to a 2-year contract as he returns to anchor the bench as the primary left-handed pinch hitter. Bench that will include Donnie Murphy, Austin Kearns. Kearns had a very hot spring. Chris Coghlan. Be interesting to see if Coghlan does not play a lot, if he can adapt to that reserve role and be an effective pinch hitter.
Well, and I think early on he'll get an opportunity to start some games, which will in turn help his pinch hitting, because Ozzie will be careful with Logan Morrison, make sure that he holds up all year. And so I'm sure we'll see Cogs in the outfield and left field getting some starts.
0-2 fastball rides high. Dobbs goes down and gets it and drives it into center field, something we saw an awful lot of last year in his role as a pinch hitter. I think last year, in terms of at-bats, the Marlins never imagined that he'd be over 400 at-bats last year.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the biggest transition for Greg Dobbs this year. Fewer at-bats, making the transition back to more of a part-time player and pinch hitter premier.
Now Infante with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th. Still getting used to looking up the scoreboard in right center field. Hot shot. And an out at second, inning over. On to the 7th in Miami tonight. The Yankees lead the Marlins 5-2. Yankees on top of Miami. Let's go down below to Craig Minervini. Craig?
Hey, thank you very much, Rich. Boy, these are some great seats here, because not often do you get a look right into the dugout, but for everybody in these first few rows here, they got a great view of the visiting dugout here at the Marlins Park. A lot of things going on around here. How about this? You wouldn't believe it, from the game yesterday. After the game at the Great Clevelander Bar, which, by the way, is open to the public 30 minutes after the game, you can come here and enjoy, and you never know who might be bartending. Yes, that is Heath Bell bartending. He told me for about an hour and a half. He was very busy. He kind of just did the job. His favorite drink, he told us, Malibu and pineapple to serve, and he had a great time interacting with a lot of the customers, and that's kind of Heath Bell. He loves talking to fans, and in fact, when we talked to him yesterday, one of the things he mentioned on the air with us was, getting to know the fans and getting the fans to know him. And that's one of the ways he does it. Great guy to have on the team. I think he told me he'll be pitching in this ball game as well. Guys, back to you.
Craig, that's not far for him to go from the bullpen to the Clevelander.
It's right there. Great location for Heath Bell, but a good guy to talk to. He's got that great attitude, and you know why he's successful. Loosey-goosey. That serves you well. It's key situations.
We just hope, Craig, he doesn't sneak over there during the game.
Yeah, no Malibu, maybe just for pineapple. Not Malibu and pineapple.
He's got a great attitude. He's got that attitude that'll help guys like this. Steve Cishek, who we saw last year come on and really did a nice job, and that's why he was able to go through spring training, make this ball club, make the bullpen, and with his experience last year, and with his delivery, Cishek gives you that funkiness that you like to have down in that bullpen, and he'll certainly bring that. Last year, he started things in New Orleans, but once he got up to the big club, 45 games, had a nice ERA at 2.63.
Robinson Cano will lead it off. Alex Rodriguez is on deck. Cishek's pitch is fouled back to the screen. Cano has walked a couple of times and has struck out. The new scoreboard up there in right center field has got everybody's mini box score, so whichever hitter pulls in, you've got their at-bats first, third, and fifth inning for Cano. You've got both lineups up there. Statistics. I like the fact that they've got on base and slugging percentage up there, Tommy.
So it's good to have the modern fan seems to like those numbers.
Cishek misses up with a fastball, and it's 1-2.
Now, if you had a giant scoreboard, I mean a really big scoreboard, you could throw up warp and whip, wins above replacement, the whole thing. You could get it all going.
Here's the 1-2. Diving stop.
There's the stuff Joe Espada was talking about.
Yeah, but it's Austin Kearns at first base.
Defense.
How about that?
That's something we saw toward the end of spring training. We saw Austin Kearns get a chance to come in and play some first base. We know he can play left. We know he can play right. And now we know he can play first base.
And of course, Kearns is hoping that this game gets over quickly. He's a native of Lexington, Kentucky. And it's probably like growing up in New York. You're either a Yankee fan or a Met fan. If you're growing up in Kentucky, it's either Louisville or Kentucky, and it's Kentucky for Kearns. A-Rod with an RBI double. Sacrifice fly, so he's driven in 3 of the Yankees' 5 runs.
They want to see A-Rod get back in that mode, play more games than he played last year, and drive at 100 runs again.
Cishek misses down low.
14 times in his career, he's driven in 100 runs or more. But he's averaged over the last 4 years just 125 games a year.
And that streak of 30 homers, 100 RBIs, ending at 13 seasons in a row. Breaking ball for a strike from Cishek. He will turn 37 in late July. Bangs that one over to the right side. Donnie Murphy picks it up and throws him out.
Yeah, the Marlins featuring a lot of new looks in the infield. Donovan Solano, Daniel Black, Murphy, and Kearns all around the infield. Daniel Black, Marcelo Ozuna in right, Isaac Galloway in center, Chris Coghlan in left. What a great opportunity. And I thought this when I was walking through the clubhouse and headed out the exit to come up here, passing the indoor batting cages, which people, by the way, in the Diamond Club can actually look into. But seeing some of these young players that have been called up just to participate and fill in this game and yesterday's game, what an opportunity for those young guys to have. To say, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be in Greensboro. It's a nice city. Jupiter, nice area to play. Florida State League. Jacksonville's okay, AA. New Orleans, fine, AAA. But this is where you want to be.
Swing and a miss, and Cishek works a very uneventful 7th inning. 7th inning stretch in Miami tonight, where the Yankees lead the Marlins 5-2. Final spring training game for the Marlins. Marlins Park, Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, Craig Minervini. 30,000 allowed in tonight. And of course, this all ramping up to opening night on Wednesday night against the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Brett Hayes comes to the plate, his first at bat. The roof open. It's been a spectacular night in the ballpark, and it looks like a great night in downtown Miami. The Clevelanders been going full speed ahead. A lot of folks out on the Budweiser bow tie bar. Hayes takes a fastball outside from Phil Hughes. The Marlins saw Carlos Zambrano have some control issues. Zambrano gave up the 5 runs. And Hayes really count 1 and 2.
Ryan Webb threw the ball well. And last inning, Steve Cishek. Nice 1-2-3 inning. And Hughes working in his 3rd.
And fastballs from Hughes.
Got that short arm delivery that always is deceptive. He's got a power arm. And mostly, he'll throw a few change-ups, but mostly fastballs and curveballs.
Well, a guy that's opened up a lot of eyes, Donovan Solano, takes a strike. We've talked about him throughout the spring and how you see his numbers last year with the Cardinals AAA team. Roller up the middle into center field, and Solano is putting the finishing touches on a spring that he hopes will get him to the big leagues. If the roster situation were different for the Marlins, Solano would be on this club.
This is his 18th hit. He gets a curveball, didn't really have that sharp bite. His 18th hit this spring. He came into that at bat with a .425 spring average. That goes up, and he just enhances his reputation in this organization. That's good.
Isaac Galloway now Fastball for a strike.
Rich, I saw a note on Phil Hughes that totally blew me away. You think about it, the draft came into effect back in 1965. Of all the first-round picks the Yankees have had,
Galloway rolls one into right field for a base hit. Solano will stop at second.
and obviously they haven't all been pitchers, but I'm sure since 1965 the Yankees have drafted in the first round numerous pitchers. The guy with the most wins in the major leagues is Phil Hughes with 36.
Of course, with the Yankees, you would expect, and I don't have it at my fingertips, you would expect that some of those first-round draft picks, be they pitchers, were dealt before they got to the big leagues, or right when they got to the big leagues. Like Ian Kennedy was a Yankee, wasn't he?
Pretty good year last year.
Donnie Murphy now.
Speaking of pitchers in the National League West, how about the contract that Matt Cain just signed? Matt Cain of the Giants is locked in now for 6 years, a little over $127 million.
Now the Giants will go to work, I would expect, on Tim Lincecum. They signed him, I believe, to a 2-year contract, eating up the rest of his arbitration.
You would have the thought that Lincecum's agent would make that suggestion to the Giants, to Brian Samuel.
Cain's been a guy that has been so good and has historically received such little run support in his career. We're talking about Kuroda and his ERA and the numbers that he's put up despite a win-loss record that was under 500 with the Dodgers. Cain, ever since he got to the big leagues, has put up even better numbers in terms of ERA and such in San Francisco.
Boy, power fastball by Murphy right there.
Murphy strikes out. Hughes looks sharp. Yankees with a 5-2 lead at the bottom of the 7th.
Matt Cain, by the way, to just punctuate your point, signs a 6-year contract for $127 million plus, and his career record, wins and losses, forget about ERA, is 69-73.
What's the ERA? Low threes?
3.35. And it is incredible when you and I go into San Francisco, and we'll talk to Mike Krukow and Dwayne Kuiper, a couple of our favorites, television broadcasters for the Giants. We'll say, what's the deal with Cain? And they say, it's amazing he doesn't get any support.
Osuna with a swing and a miss. The count's 1-2. Well, he may not get any support, but he's got plenty of coin now.
That'll help.
That eases the pain a bit, doesn't it? That's an interesting division in the National League. You had the overachieving Diamondbacks. Kirk Gibson did such a great job of breathing life into that franchise. Who knows what the Dodgers will be with the sale. They do have a good point guard now in Magic Johnson, but
they need to go in that direction. Yeah. The thing about the Dodgers that I think would worry a team if you were in the National League West, what happens if you get to July and they're in the hunt and they have, speaking of coin, and they have some coin to work with and go out and make a deal.
Yeah, their off-season deals were not real eye-popping. And a lot of people credit Don Mattingly with a terrific managing job last year to bring them in at over 500 in one of the rockiest seasons off the field in franchise history.
And if not for the voting going the way of Ryan Braun, they could have had the MVP and the Cy Young Award winner, and Matt Kemp and Clayton Kershaw.
the Rockies. What about the dust-up yesterday for Ubaldo Jimenez drilling Troy Tulowitzki? Remember, Jimenez was bitter that he didn't get a Tulowitzki or Cargo-type contract. That one fouled back. And Jimenez's actions yesterday, drilling Tulowitzki, dropping the glove, and stepping towards him. I believe it was the first pitch at bat. Jim Tracy is one of the nicest men in baseball. Calm. Absolutely. And reading his searing post-game comments. 3-2 coming. It's in the dirt. And the Marlins now have loaded him up. Chris Coughlin is the hitter. Tracy, in words that I suspect we couldn't use on the air, and I've never even heard Jim Tracy swear being around him, saying that he had lost all respect for Jimenez, who was one of the dominant pitchers in baseball in 2010 and struggled through 2011. What if the Rockies and the Indians face each other in interleague? I don't have that schedule. Here's Chris Coughlin. Bags loaded, 2 outs. Hughes against Coughlin. Now, lost in a game like this, Tommy, with all the substitutions and all that, all of a sudden you've got an at-bat that means something for Coughlin, a Rookie of the Year, and Hughes, 2 years ago, an All-Star. Coughlin sends it down the left field line, and it's fouled.
You know, and even to carry that further, you had at-bats from youngsters, Solano, Galloway, Ozuna, meaning just as much to them. A lot of great foul ball opportunities. Great catch by a fan there.
Hughes out in front, 0-2. Fastball up, and Coughlin can't hold up, goes around. And the Marlins leave him loaded to the 8th. The countdown starts. Major League teams with the MLB.com at-bat 12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at-bat to 31826 or visit Marlins.com for details. The announced crowd, 32,005. So on a night where the Marlins...
How'd those 2,005 get in here?
Well, it wasn't such a soft opening. So 32,005 here tonight. The crowd you would expect on Wednesday night will be in the 37,000 vicinity. There'll probably be a few more media members here. It's a jewel event, according to Major League Baseball, so lots of media from out of town.
It will be the only Major League game on Wednesday. Most everyone else opening up on Thursday, some on Friday. The Yankees open up Friday in St. Pete against the Rays.
Chad Godin. Oh, excuse me.
Rob Delaney.
It is Delaney.
Yeah, Delaney out of St. John's University. had just a bit of major league experience with Minnesota and Tampa Bay.
Throws a strike. Chris Dickerson, whom we saw yesterday. Foul back to the screen. 0-2. Be interested to see how Major League Baseball handles the Jimenez situation.
I thought I read, you may want to check, I thought I read that he was going to be suspended.
Well, but
he's going to appeal. Obviously.
He today said he shouldn't be suspended. He said players are hit by pitches every day. And with a guy like him, you have to go inside. I can't get the ball to go where I want every time.
And in spring training, there's some truth to that when you talk to pitchers. Ask Carlos Zambrano tonight.
The good news is that the x-rays on Tulowitzki's elbow were negative.
That's great news for Rockies fans.
Absolutely. Padres seem to be quietly building a nice nucleus in San Diego. Off the end of the bat. And Solano throws across the diamond to Kearns. Ibanez is out.
Oh, Cameron Maben. They've locked a few of their young players into multi-year deals. Cameron Maben, former Marlin, being one of them. They've added a little veteran pop in Carlos Quentin.
You know, just double checking baseball stories. Major League Baseball has announced tonight that Jimenez will be suspended for 5 games and fined. Manny Acta announcing that he will appeal and that Jimenez will be starting the 2nd game of the season.
We'll follow the Padres, by the way, and follow Baker, John Baker.
Russell Martin, an 0 for 2 night. What do you make of the Central? The Reds seem to be the favorites. They're, you know, the Cardinals are the world champions.
It's hard to go away from the Cardinals right now because the Reds have problems. The Reds, I was reading, and we'll see them. They were thinking about Aroldis Chapman, the Cuban Missile, in their rotation. Now he goes to the bullpen because of the injury to Madsen. Nick Masset, who was going to be the setup guy, he's injured. Going to start the year on the DL. So they have some problems. You still have to figure St. Louis. I think Milwaukee's going to be right in the hunt as well.
Delaney with a nice tidy 8th inning. Bottom of the 8th coming up in Miami. 5-2 Yankees. On top of Miami in the bottom of the 8th in the final spring training game. Game 2 for the Marlins here in New Marlins Park. And as the bottom of the 8th begins, some of the fans making their way out. A couple of Hall of Famers, Andre Dawson, Tony Perez.
It's got to be a great feeling. We touched on it yesterday a little bit for another local guy, a guy who grew up in Miami, Andre Dawson.
I talked to Hawk before the ball game about yesterday, and remember we had that shot of him in the dugout with that. You rarely see Andre Dawson smile. He's a stoic, quiet guy, and that look on his face yesterday was just in wonderment as he was looking out at the new ballpark with the game going on.
You have to think that guys like Hawk and Tony Perez are also wondering what it would be like to hit here.
Here's Austin Kearns, and he gets jammed on that Hughes fastball out into center field. There's one out. There's always a player at the end of spring training as Dobbs stands in. Lines it into right center field. Dobbs has a couple of hits. No need to try to stretch that, especially with a little bit of a tender hamstring. You always get to this part of spring training, you think to yourself, who's the first guy we're going to see called up? Is it going to be an arm? Is it going to be a Wade LeBlanc? Is it going to be a short reliever that's needed because of an injury?
Could it be a Donovan Solano? That's why I think these latter spring training games, especially for the bubble guys, the guys who know they're going to be in the minor leagues, are still so important because you can make a nice impression.
Daniel Black, who was part of that championship team in Greensboro last year. You were talking about the contract in San Francisco with Matt Cain. Reports out of Cincinnati are that the Reds and Joey Votto have agreed to the framework of a 10-year, $225 million extension. Wow. Votto is 28. He is signed through next year.
Well, if that is true, he'll finish his career a Red, and Brandon Phillips will move on when his contract's up.
Well, Pujols got what, 10 years, 250, 254. Fielder 9 years, 214. So it sounds like the Reds and Votto have a 10-year, $225 million deal that's in the works. Votto does everything well.
Power, average, on-base percentage,
defense. Black pulls one on the ground, and he's out at first base. Bill Hall coming in making that play. There are 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Brett Hayes gets his second at bat of the night. So let's review for Wednesday night. If you're coming out and you've got tickets for opening night, the gates to the ballpark are actually opening up at 4. So if you come early, you can get in early. And you want to be in your seats probably by 6 and 6:15 because I guess you could call them opening ceremonies, will begin around that time.
Emilio Estefan is producing the opening ceremonies.
Kyle Loesch will start for the Cardinals. And what a nice sight it will be to see Josh Johnson throw the very first pitch in a regular season game in Marlins Park. Expect the commissioner will be here. I didn't know. I was reading that story on Jimenez and Tulowitzki. The commissioner was at that game.
That's not good for Jimenez.
That may have expedited the
that's
suspension.
Not good. You want to do those things when the commissioner's on the other side of the country. Like you need to do that when the commissioner's in Japan for that series with Seattle and Oakland.
Hughes has looked outstanding tonight for the Yankees. 5-2, New York. Cincinnati. Thursday, 3:30. We start with Marlins Live. There's that guy, Joey Votto, and all his buddies. 4 o'clock first pitch. We'll say hi to Rosie Red. 3-game series in Cincinnati with a Thursday 4 o'clock start. And then Saturday night, Sunday afternoon before the Marlins move on to Philadelphia. And the Marlins and the Phillies will open up the Phillies home schedule. Heath Bell arrives, and Bell will get the 9th.
Talk about players, everyday players that bring energy. Manager brings energy. Ozzie Guillen. Heath Bell's a closer that brings energy out there. A little different format than Mariano Rivera, who comes into a game.
Well, you know, Rivera came in yesterday in the 5th inning. Some managers will bring their closers in the middle of a spring game. Some will bring them at the end. And Mariano came in yesterday and gave up a run, and that hadn't happened in a long time. Not that he gave up a run, but he gave up a run in spring training.
Mariano Rivera had not given up a spring training run since 2008.
That's amazing. Abraham Almonte, who was in Single-A Tampa last year. Almonte, a switch hitter. Bell's certainly a big piece of the offseason for the Marlins.
Anytime you can add a quality arm at the back end of a bullpen, there's that kind of slurve that he throws along with a good fastball. He has great control. It really spots his fastball well.
He had a chance to intern, so to speak, with Trevor Hoffman in San Diego.
Kind of the way he interned at the Clevelander after the game yesterday.
As a bartender. Season tickets on sale You can secure your seats through a variety of season ticket and mini plan options and save money off the box office prices. Enjoy all the benefits of being a Marlins season ticket holder. Pick up your plan today, 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com and be part of a historic 2012 season.
Well, with Heath Bell, you talk about consistency. 43 saves last year, 47 the year before, 42 the year before that.
This is Ramiro Pena. You saw Angel Hernandez briefly in your shot.
And you're right about his internship under Trevor Hoffman. I guess the only one better would be Mariano Rivera. David Robertson is in his internship under him.
(2-0). Bell does have a feel for this division, having pitched with the Mets before he got to San Diego. Leaves a fastball up, and he's fallen behind 3-0. One of the things we were discussing the National League West, we did not mention the fact that the Diamondbacks were still unsure as to the return of Stephen Drew from an ankle injury. There were 2 devastating ankle injuries in that division. Obviously the Buster Posey injury and then Drew, and that made the Diamondbacks run to win the National League West even more impressive. Bell comes back and gets a couple of strikes.
Boy, and the devastating ankle injury this year was to Jabba Chamberlain of the Yankees.
Drew's injury was in late July. Posey's injury was in late May. Posey, thankfully, and it's great to hear, is back and healthy. And a swing and a miss at that breaking pitch from Bell. Hayes snares it, and there's 2 down.
Well, he threw that 3-1 fastball by Pena and then dropped off that breaking ball out of the zone to get him to chase it. Bounced it and got him to chase it.
You know, we haven't talked about the Atlanta Braves tonight, but the Braves have just about everybody coming back, and with some young pitching coming through the system and arriving in the big leagues from a team that was dynamite for 5 months last year, and of course stumbled at the end and had the biggest collapse in baseball history for about an hour and a half before Boston passed them. The Red Sox losing in Baltimore that wild night, and the Rays' improbable comeback against this New York team, and a big hit in that Baltimore win from a Miami native, Robert Andino.
Robert Andino had a nice year last year.
And it's good to see
for the Orioles. Yeah,
he was kind of stuck.
A Miami kid.
He was stuck behind Hanley Ramirez when he got to the big leagues. Shortstop. Two and two. Bell. Working on Andrew Jones. Talked about Jones in his long career as a Brave. High fly ball. Coughlin for a leap, and he couldn't get there. High walls, well padded. That's good with both Coughlin and Morrison out there in left field. Jones takes outside, and he walks. So Bell with a walk after getting the first 2 outs here in the 9th inning. If the Cardinals can get Chris Carpenter back and healthy, then their rotation, you would expect, would be better than last year. If you've got Carpenter and Wainwright.
You got those two.
Another year of Jaime Garcia, Kyle Loesch.
The postseason and all the work during the season really took a toll on Carpenter. He threw over 273 innings when you add all that together. But Jaime Garcia and Loesch, and they're hoping for a little better year from Jake Westbrook.
And I think a lot of people forget the Cardinals clinched on that last night, a postseason spot. They didn't do it in dramatic fashion. I don't think you could get any more dramatic than the Rays. Down, what, 7-0? Evan Longoria with 2 big home runs.
2 big home runs.
Dan Johnson with the tying home run.
That's the way,
pinch hit job.
Rich, that's the way Joe Madden rolls.
Marlins will see the Rays 6 times. Home and home with the Rays. Home and home with the Red Sox.
There used to be a time early on in interleague play that seeing the Rays for 6 games was a welcome sight. But that's no longer the case.
Those days have long since gone. Swing and a miss. And down goes Bill Hall. Heath Bell works his inning, and the last half inning of spring training. Florida, brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer today for great deals on the amazing lineup of Toyota vehicles. Toyota, moving forward. The home run sculpture is inactive until opening day. Marlins decided to wait until the opener for real on Wednesday. The Red Grooms sculpture awaits. It's been a favorite target of the Marlins in batting practice. Hanley Ramirez and Mike Stanton have knocked a few off the Flamingos. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. Alex Rodriguez had some amazing comments about this park, about Jeffrey Lurie, the Marlins, baseball in general in South Florida. We're going to have those for you coming up on our post-game show in just a few minutes here. But A-Rod really soaking in the environment in his hometown, and he's happy to see this great, splendid ballpark here in South Florida. We'll have it for you in a few minutes.
Wait a minute, Craig. We have a post-game show?
Well, you know, abbreviated edition. Last one. Very, you know.
It's spring training, man.
Stay with us.
Yeah, but Craig has to get ready.
We got A-Rod.
Well, I want to see Craig in our beautiful new FS Florida studios in Fort Lauderdale.
I was there today. The Marlins backdrop. It is absolutely splendid, and we look forward to debuting that on Thursday. Is it 3:30? I think it's 3:30.
It is.
Cliff Floyd will be with me, and Preston Wilson. That's the pregame. Marlins Live. Allison will be live, of course, with you guys in Cincinnati. Should be fun.
It will be a good time.
Well, we do have a postgame first.
All right. We'll get there. As Donovan Solano has a base hit. What else? Look at the average. 439. for Solano. And he's a guy that certainly will track as he heads off to New Orleans. Let's see if he can keep it up.
Boy, this is a guy we just mentioned, Dave Robertson, who is interning under Mariano Rivera and is a closer in waiting. And this last year, I mean, the numbers he put up are unbelievable. 100 strikeouts in 66 2/3 innings and an ERA of 1.08.
Solano the first to face him here in the ninth. One of the great traditions we have here on Marlins television, and it started back before Twitter was really flying, was back in 2006, Email Tuesdays. In the last 3 years, they've become Twitter Tuesdays along with emails, and every now and then a text message or two. We will continue that again this year on Tuesdays. Unfortunately, the Marlins don't have a Tuesday game next week. That's an off day. But there was one tweet tonight that just popped into the account that bears repeating from a Marlins fan that said Tommy Hutton would be so awesome if he pulled a Harry Doyle and just ordered drinks from the Clevelander all season long.
I would be awesomely out of a job, too.
The Clevelander nice enough to deliver both food and drinks to the booth tonight. Galloway fouls it off.
Yeah, this is a tough assignment for a youngster who was in low A ball last year, Isaac Galloway.
Galloway nursed a ground ball through the right side for a base hit earlier in the night. And he swings and misses. And so Donnie Murphy comes to the plate in the bottom of the ninth in the last inning of the last spring training game as the Marlins get ready to open this park for real Wednesday night against the St. Louis Cardinals. But we do have a post-game show,
albeit a brief one.
So brief that Tommy will be on his way out the door. Pitch is outside. Murphy hopeful that this year is a much healthier season. Remember that awful injury that he had at the tail end of 2010 when he was really contributing, had some big home runs, some big moments, and he fell back on that wrist in shallow center field, fracturing the wrist, severing some tendons, reconstructive surgery. Came back last year and really was never 100% last year. That's it. Closing time for spring training. But a grand opening for this new ballpark. Ozzie Guillen coming out to the top of the step. The tip of the cap to Joe Girardi. I think he may even come on over. See, Ozzie wants to make sure. There they are. Two guys that met an awful lot in the American League. Guillen making sure. There's Tony Pena and the rest of the Yankee staff. As of the Yankees, who have a spring training game up in Port St. Lucie, many of the regulars won't make that trip. They will open against the Rays on Friday. The Marlins will open against the Cardinals here on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. 5-2 the final here. Back to wrap it up with our very brief post-game show coming up.